Item number 2, chair comments. Just wanted to let you know that the Board of County Commissioners did approve the elite event package that we forwarded to the BCC. That was approved last night with the addition of the MLK parade event. So that did receive funding recommendation from the BCC. With that, let's go to item number 3, approval of the minutes. Is there discussion, amendments, or a motion for approval?
Second.
Motion by Mayor Hibbard, second by Mayor Welch. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Public comments? No public comments. Right into item number 5, capital program discussion. Mr. Hayes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of council. For this morning, have some discussion regarding the guidelines around the capital program. But before we get to that, I did want to make an introduction of an individual who will be assisting us in this process. Susie Seeger is with Crossroads Consulting. Susie, if you could raise your hand in the back. Susie and her company are based here in Pinellas County. And she has worked on projects not only in this county, but actually nationwide. She was part of the bid process to find a consultant to help with this. I think, Terry, I think we had 3 companies that bid, or yeah, it was 3, and Susie won out. The great part is I've had a relationship with Susie in the past. When I was on the other side, she did a couple of studies related to facilities, and then also worked with her company when I was up in Pensacola on a sports facility. So great to be able to work with her on our program, and invited her to be here just to kind of hear the discussion of where we're going, and so that she's better attuned to your concerns or thoughts as we move forward through this process. So. The first thing I wanted to go through, and everyone should have it was a 2-page document that was called Capital Projects Funding Program Item for Discussion. And what I wanted to do is the red line document that we've submitted, that we had sent to you, Michael had worked on previously based on comments, based on kind of cleaning up everything. I wanted to go through and just get more clarification on some specific things, because the next step in all of this is, if you're in agreement with the direction and I get additional direction here, is we will clean that up for presentation back to this body. In addition to that, also the application as well. We want to make sure that mirrors up with anything that we're doing along the guidelines. So I'll get started into that. And under definitions, and one of the notes that I had dealt with going through and cleaning up one of the definitions of tourism economic benefits. And so one of the things that I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding you correctly and make sure that I'm there is, when we look at tourism economic benefits, is looking at the transient lodging revenue and visitor room nights. Again, the key for this program is that it helps support the tourism industry and driving business to our community, and then replenishing the TDT tax, which helps funds these programs. Also looking at estimated economic impact, and that includes direct spend, indirect spend, as well as jobs. And I think that's critical when you look at the impact on businesses around where this project may take place, or the county as a whole. And then the third included in that would be total return on investment to local government and to businesses. And I think a key element there is when we look at our destination analyst research on events, we'll go through and say that this event has a return of, give them $1, it gets $2 back in the community, or $10 back in business. Is look at these projects along the same way. So that's what I am going through to phrase everything when it comes to tourism economic benefits. Is there anything in there that's not, that's left out that we need to include?
Mayor Welch.
So I had a question. Of course, I lost my marked up copy, having OneDrive issues. But it looks like you took out benefits from marketing and sponsorships, that one sentence in the tourism economic benefit paragraph.
That's on page 4 if you're following along.
Wondering what the thinking was behind that.
Mayor, actually, I wouldn't remove that. I just wanted to make sure that we emphasized these elements as well.
Well, it says deleted in the copy I have.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just like a word markup. You see on the right, it says deleted with a green line.
I'm still. Yeah.
Just the comma? Oh, and the line that's underneath it is pointing to the, okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
My misread, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I was like going through and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that being on the delete, sorry.
It's weird the way the line is pointing to deleted. It
Yeah.
underlines that whole sentence, so we're good.
I'll make sure I contact Mr. Gates and say,
You should, you really should. Thank you.
Further questions on that section?
Okay.
You want to share about the comma? Everyone's good with the comma?
I will never live that one down.
Okay, the next item would be under funding standards, and that is on page 6. And one of the things that I've heard is, are the numbers related to the number of documented attendees as well as tourist room nights, are those accurate? In other words, are those realistic? And so in talking with Susie with Crossroads, this is where we'll work to revisit the numbers and actually ensure that they're realistic. And again, it may be on target, but I want to make sure by utilizing our data and our expertise to come up with that. And that was one of the things when we did the elite events, we revisited those numbers to make them more realistic. So that would be section A1 and section A2. And then under section A3, there was a separate call out for an MLS training facility. Do we keep that as a separate consideration, or do we roll that up as being considered under section A1 or A2? In other words, one of those two projects. And I know I'm trying to remember who would have history on that. I think Mayor Julie, you had that more than anybody else the last time we may have talked about this.
That was something that I think Mayor Creticos, as he was trying to build the soccer program in Clearwater,
Okay.
was trying to just call Major League Soccer out. I don't know. I mean, to me, if you're going to have a section on sports, you should have it on all sports because we have multiple things.
Yeah.
Mr. Kimball?
In memory of this, it was that about the time that Philadelphia Union started coming here.
Yeah.
And so the idea back then was to have a training center for all the leagues that we could get to train here and market nationally through soccer with a facility and everything else. And I agree with the mayor that I think it should just be rolled up with the rest of the other parts. But it was a timing thing at that time we were thinking about. I don't think it's necessary now, though.
Further questions, comments on that? Mayor?
So on the room nights, do we think we're high or low?
That's what I don't know. And we were high on elite events, and we ended up bringing them down. But there was I hate to say there was a formula to it, but there was a formula to it. There was a rationale behind it. I'm not sure how we got to the 25,000 paid as in attendees or the 10,000 room nights. I don't know what that was based on. So
Okay.
I want to come up with that and have a rationale, so going forward, we can always make reference to that.
Thank you.
And the deleted part is the incremental annual increase, correct? Further questions or comments? Ms. Moore?
I have one under funding standards in paragraph B. Unless, we're adding unless authorized differently by the BCC. Does that give the BCC the authority? Obviously, we're making recommendations, and the ultimate decision is there, but it's almost as if you go through all these mechanics, and you've got this set of, quote, rules, and then at their discretion, they just throw that all out and make decisions?
Yep.
Okay. I won't be
Commissioner Welch, did you want to
Pollyanna
address that
anymore
one?
So, and that was one of the items that I had down, to talk about. And I think more from the standpoint I was looking at more from the reimbursable standpoint. So right now, I think in the first iteration of our guidelines that you're reimbursed based on turning in your receipts. And if I'm saying this wrong, please let me know. The second iteration, which we're currently under, it was 100% based on the project being completed, and then you're reimbursed. And I think the intent here would is let the county, OMB, BCC make the determination what is the best way to reimburse that. So if I'm a small project, it may be worth it just to pay all of it, in 2 increments because it's a not-for-profit versus I'm so-and-so and I'm going to spread it out over 3 or 4 years. It gives an option versus it being, in stone one way.
And that was a friendly question in the sense that it was not a negative against BCC, but it was just, I was looking at it in a much broader picture, and what you're saying makes perfectly good sense.
I think it was not to create a blanket that every organization would get the reimbursement process changed, but that would be more of a special circumstance. Mayor?
Well, and I also think it's part of the negotiation process between the county and the person who's building the project, because like with the Jays, we were a government entity fronting a whole ton of money, and we had to do loans in a certain way, and the former county administrator worked with us to make it happen cohesively so that our loans could happen. So every organization is different, and because we were a government, they were allowing us to do maybe things that they wouldn't allow others. So I think it's giving flexibility depending on the situation.
Correct. Mayor Hibbard?
Yeah, I would agree. I like seeing flexibility. There are some organizations that have the wherewithal to cover all the expenses and they get reimbursed. Then there are some circumstances where we also want to pay things as quickly as possible because the present value is greater, which ultimately means we may have to contribute less. So I believe in giving latitude.
Yeah, it had been just the base philosophy of we wanted to be the last dollar in on any project. That was the philosophy. But there's, with the rising costs and organizations having different cash flow options, it gives us the opportunity to negotiate, as the mayor said. Good morning. Further questions or comments on this area? All right.
Okay, moving on to the next section under timeline. All right, so I made a stab here. And without trying to put in general dates like months, but to kind of what the flow would be for this. So looking at where we are today, based on today's meeting and moving forward, is in October actually approve the guidelines and the application by this body, and then forward to the BCC for recommendation. I do know that we're scheduling a joint TDC-BCC meeting for November. That date hasn't been set yet, but get both groups together. And I know that this will be a good topic to talk about. But that may be one where it's workshopped, and then later in November, we actually approve any of the guidelines, or approve the guidelines and the application. So that would happen in November, and then announce the program, and then basically go through and have the application period from December to mid-February. That would give roughly, that would be 60 plus days to get something filled out, and then go through and have the consultant and staff review February to April, so that would be 60 days there as well. And then presentation of the recommendations to this body in May, and then recommendations to the BCC for June. So, I mean, I made a stab at it. There's those of you that have been through this process before. Does that sound about right? I just want to make sure that there's enough time to digest everything. I want to make sure that, you know, you're firmly on board, but the BCC's on board, so that when this is done, we can all say, great job, and we've followed a good format.
Mayor?
Again, I'm just going to say, I think for the normal everyday projects, that probably works. But if it's something more complicated, like baseball, and we know we've got several, there is no timeline. But I also know that I think that's getting, is that getting negotiated separately, Charlie? Baseball in general,
There's ongoing conversations.
on how to
but-
do it? Yeah.
You're right.
Okay,
But
because,
you know, we haven't had that official ask of something that would come back to us in any kind of official capacity. I know the other mayor would like to weigh in.
well, and I'm sure Frank, you know, same thing. I mean, we've got two possible things happening. So I do think maybe you just make a footnote there that maybe sports facilities or whatever are different, or however you want to word it, but just make a footnote.
Did you want to add the line unless authorized by the BCC?
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
Steve,
Well, it is, and it does give you some flexibility, because, you know, these things, I can remember, and I won't say who, there was a particular commissioner, I mean, it took us 5 years to negotiate our deal, essentially, from beginning to end. And I was slammed for that, and I'm like, have you ever dealt with Major League Baseball? Are you kidding me? I mean, there is no timeline, so.
Mayor Welch? Microphone, please.
Had the same question on page 3 under the guidelines, when it talks about, I can't tell you what a joy it is to get back into the capital guidelines and understanding the categories. Again, thank you for that brain exercise. But it says funding for category E, projects shall not be considered awarded through the CPFP, but go to the BCC first. But can that happen at any time, or is it subject to this calendar that Steve's laying out?
if I may, no, it's not subject to that calendar. There is already an exclusion, Mayor Bujalski, for that, because we recognize through the last dealing with MLB that, yes, it is very complicated, very time-consuming. So there was a carve-out in certain instances for certain threshold sports facility asks to travel outside of this. And to answer Mayor Welch, excuse me, sorry, old habits.
Yes.
I know.
There is no timeline per se for any ask at any time anyway, so baseball certainly would be traveling outside of it. And the way it's set up now is they get conceptual approval from the BCC because of the dollar amount asked, and then that starts the process.
Thank you.
Well, and if I could just suggest, I know you said there's an exception somewhere else, but if I'm just skimming through these, trying to figure out my own personal timeline for this whatever sports facility, that's where I would go to look. So I think having something there would be helpful.
Okay, we'll figure out how to make that happen, sure.
Thanks.
Further questions, comments? Mr. Kimball?
On timeline, we have on our reserves and all, a couple of obligations that are now on the BCC to negotiate and take care of a museum and spring training and all that. I was just thinking, is there any process that something does not happen for whatever reason, and I'm not picking any, that would eliminate or take it off the books at some point? It would be your
Yeah, no,
judgment on it,
absolutely.
and I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's a very fair question. No, we don't have it like defined, must be negotiated within X days or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess it would only come to a point if the two parties walked away from each other, or we got to a point where this board and the BCC wanted to obligate those funds for another project. Otherwise, it kind of hangs out there. But that's a very good point. Michael, have we talked about that at all over time, about the length of negotiation process?
We really haven't. I don't think there's ever been a substantive discussion or decision made on whether to implement that.
It's kind of a weird, obviously the negotiations with the Phillies are taking some time. The two museums in St. Petersburg, that's on their side of, between COVID and other delays and restructuring their projects, that they want to restructure. That it's kind of, so it is kind of that perfect storm of things that have delayed these, at least the two in St. Petersburg.
And the intent is, we want it to happen.
Right.
You know, I was just thinking if down the road, and it wouldn't have to be a $5 million project or whatever it is, it could be something less, that at some point, if we realize and they realize it's not gonna happen, it seems like that's when the question would come up, really, is what I was thinking of.
No, I think that's worthy of discussion, of we want to have some kind of parameters in there, or certainly when we're going to do this year's capital program, and if we get X $1 million requests, and I assume that will be also the time that we kind of bring these other two for a landing, if not before then. I have not heard where we are as far as the conversations with those two museums.
I think for the Dali, it's going to be contingent on the referendum. So we'll probably know that situation as far as that plan, if that will work after November. And then I don't know about the St. Pete, the other one, the other museum.
Steve?
Yeah, and actually on the Dali, and I talked with Dr. Hine 2 days ago, and we're going to have him at the November TDC meeting.
Okay.
To update everybody on what's happening. So again, because of some things that they were dealing with at the city, having to work with Grand Prix and a variety of different things, that project got extended out, and then throw the pandemic in there, and that messed that one up. And then on the St. Pete History Center, that one had a conversation with them recently, and I'll have them come back to this body as well. For them, the pandemic increased the cost of what they had to do, and then the other element is they have to go through and redo what the drawings because of the flood zone. The new flood zone now is mandated that they had to move up, I think it was three more feet of where they were going to, so that went through and changed their project a little bit. So, yeah, the pandemic and natural weather has not been kind on those two things. But I'll have them come back in November as well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So, Steve, in November, you mentioned a joint TDC-BCC meeting. Is that in lieu of our regular meeting, or is it an additional meeting? And do you have a date?
I don't have a date for it, and I would need to check with not only the county administrator on schedules to make sure we're not going to conflict with an existing work session and or our meeting, or maybe it's, you know, we kind of combine our meeting and do that.
Okay.
But we'll figure that one out.
Okay, thank you.
It would be easier if it was the day that we normally have it.
Yeah.
Just saying, especially in that month, because that's like right at the beginning of the holidays and there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning. It would be nice to, you know, have our regular TDC meeting, but have a workshop on the front end of it, and then just our last minute things. And if the commissioners want to stay for the fun, some of the fun stuff that we do, they can. Otherwise, we get the work stuff done. And again, I think workshop it, and then we can vote at the next.
Yeah, I'll check with Barry to see if he's checked with everyone's calendars today. I don't know what other committees meet on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
There's other commissioners' obligations, but Further conversation on this? All right.
All right, next one is item 4, which is the evaluation process. So a couple of options to go here. Within the current guidelines, it suggests that there's a committee of the TDC who goes through to review this. And that's how that's been done in the past. So one recommendation, instead of making a committee of the TDC, just make it the whole TDC, because otherwise I think it's somewhat duplicative. So that would be that change. The second part would basically go through and do we look at doing this process like we did with Elite Events, where at this point you have the consultant and staff come back, review everything, come back, make the presentations to this body, and then have this body go through and accept the recommendations, question the recommendations, modify the basically serve in that role, but let us get into the dirt, so to speak, of all the detail. So
Yeah.
I would be interested in your feedback on that.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, I think that's a grand idea. I think it worked extremely well this year for the Elite Event review and that process. It took a lot of that making of the sausage out of our hands, and I think that's a good idea.
Mayor? Thumbs up? Just thumbs up? All right. I see a lot of nodding heads, Steve, so that's pretty good consensus.
Again, Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
again, not to focus solely on what I anticipate with the raise, but given what this says about the Category E having a different process, when does that fold back into the TDC? It says the TDC can provide guidance and recommendations, but it doesn't actually lay out what will happen in that scenario. So can we get some clarity on how that will work? It goes to the BCC, they approve it in concept. Does it then lock back into a TDC approval process?
Actually, if I may, I think the consideration, based on what we learned the last time, is that the intent would be now that there would be a preliminary ask of the BCC. The BCC would conceptually approve. It's up to the BCC whether or not they want to give an up to a dollar amount at that point, or the ask is X and let's see what they can negotiate. At that point, then we would ask the BCC, to what extent do you want the guideline documentations to apply? Because there is a carve out for that too, just to get clarity that they're going to pretty much submit everything that every other applicant is required, and anything else that staff may, along the way, determine that they need to see or the consultant needs to see to evaluate ROI and all those other factors to make a recommendation. And then it seems to me like then it would really be up to a situational case-by-case basis as far as at what time to bring it back to the TDC, but certainly the TDC, I think once staff and the consultant had looked at it, determined eligibility, kind of had a rough outline of sort of where we were, they could make the determination. Steve, I think, and his staff would make the determination at the behest of, also with the chair, as to whether it's informational to bring something back to the TDC to kind of know where things are, or hey, we're pretty close, this is kind of where we're at, is everybody agreeing? To ultimately bring back a formal recommendation to the TDC or formal discussions as needed that would advance ultimately to the BCC. So it's kind of hard to timeline it because it's going to be case by case. But in theory, the
question of whether-
TDC should have input,
But
absolutely.
the BCC is going to make that call.
The BCC will make the initial call and the ultimate call at the, at the front end and the back end.
Related to the degree to which the TDC reviews the process.
That's not captured in the guidelines. I think that's, there's discretion there, so I think it's gonna be the process itself. We'll see how much engagement is really necessary. We might learn that there is a lot more engagement necessary and then be able to set forth some type of schedule, but it's kind of hard to say, or they could just have a standing placeholder on this meeting would be another option potentially to say, hey, we'll have a quick update as to the negotiations or where we're at in the process. That could be one way, Mayor, to get that done.
Twice.
So I know twice, 3 times I'm out.
Okay. It just seems like, and I agree with flexibility, but it just seems like there's some gray area in there.
Part of it is because it gets so protracted, some of these negotiations. There are numerous legal issues that need to be looked at. There are financial issues that need to be looked at, confidentiality issues that need to be looked at. MLB's involved, the team's involved. So it gets, excuse me, super complicated, a battalion of lawyers, as you can imagine. So nothing is easy.
Well, something that significant, and we've dedicated a whole penny to the trop for how many years? And over $100 million, I think it should come back to the TDC.
Absolutely.
At some point for a full TDC review.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's I think certainly contemplated, and I think would be the intent.
That certainly would be what I would want to see. That's kind of the whole purpose of this. Mayor?
Just two things. You know, when they do bring an initial concept to the county commission, obviously, they come in with their highest ask. That's the very beginning. And I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job or anything, but I do hope, you know, that the county commission understands that. That's one thing I want to say. You know, go negotiate. And they're not going to say, well, we're only going to go up to this or that. But once they do come to you, and let's say they do get approval, I think then initially would be a good time to have the same presentation just for information, right? And then at the end, once it's negotiated, because we have no say in any of that, have that presentation at the end before it goes back for final approval with the county. That seems like, to me, having gone through the craziness, that seems like an appropriate thing to do.
I have no objection to that kind of timeline of a review at the beginning and the end. And you're right, it will be very complicated if the city, the county, whoever else outside of that, the team, negotiate an arrangement, and then it comes to this board, and this board says, well, we don't like line 12, and you know something like that. It will be kind of an all or nothing, unless there's some. So to that point, if there are, and we all know the things that are out there. So if there are things that you believe are funding sources or dollar limits or ideas that are something that we should include, or that you think should be deal breakers, I would encourage you to share that with the commission, the other commissioners, just in your one-on-one conversations as we move forward, because all that coming together will help. And I don't know that it will be happening during my chairmanship, but the next chair and the commission and our negotiation team work through it with the team and with the mayor. So, anything else? All right, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking when Mayor Welch had brought up, the process for this. So the last time we would have gone through this would have been back in the 80s, early 90s. But okay, but before that with the Rays would have been back earlier than that. And I don't think yeah, so I think maybe Mr. Kimball might be the only one on the group that was part of here, when all that happened. So it is kind of groundbreaking, but it's also exciting to be part of this process. Okay, next section, rating criteria. So on this one, I took into consideration a couple of comments that I heard related, and I think Mayor Hibbard, you were the one that brought it up, related to strategic plan. How does a project fall into the strategic plan process? And so what I'm proposing is that we work with Crossroads to come with specific rating requirements and points. And really, and I'm saying along 4 areas. I'm not committed to that exact number. It could be other things as well. But one, you look at what is the projected economic benefit, spending jobs as an example, projected attendance and visitor room nights, marketing and sponsorship benefits that help VSPC achieve its mission, And then the last thing I added was meets one or more of the strategic objectives as outlined in our strategic plan. Examples include contribute to placemaking efforts across the county to highlight different areas of uniqueness, coordinating with municipalities to broaden the tourist experience, continue supporting, providing resources to arts and culture in the county, and the last one, the capacity of Pinellas Sports Facility and fields to determine residential and tourist needs. And I'll actually go through the rest of the plan. I'll have Susie look at that, but I want to make sure Michael sees it as well, because I'd hate to say, hey, this is a strategic plan this is an objective that we're following, but yet when you look at it, it may not be funded by TDT, because the statute doesn't allow. So we'll have to kind of walk through there, but this just gives you 4 things to say, hey, as a project comes forward and it meets one or more of these, that's going to be great. So thoughts on that, Mr.
Mayor Hibbard?
Well, I'm kind of been biting my tongue, but at some point we need to talk about it. I think, the money is being generated all over the county. One of my concerns is that we're spreading the peanut butter all over the county as well. And I know there's some enormous projects, and we all want the raise to stay, but that can suck almost all the oxygen out of the room. And I think that needs to be said. I look at a lot of the projects, and I know we're going to be coming forward with the Phillies. That is only a matter of time. Their plan has morphed significantly from what you've seen previously. But I expect that in the fourth quarter of this year, we're going to be coming forward with that. And so, I think one of the criteria also ought to be that the spending is diverse and is all over the county as well. I think that's something that needs to be taken into account.
Mayor Welch?
Yeah, I totally concur with that, and in our discussions with the Rays, we let them know there is a ceiling to what the city and county partners will provide to this, and there are significant projects elsewhere in the county. So on the same page with the Stewart principle of limited resources, unlimited needs. So.
Further comments?
And Mayor Hibbert, I made note of that, of how we go through and build that in. All right. That was all the suggestions I had on the categories. Really, next steps is to take this information. Is there a green line that we can do? Show all the changes that we've made, but basically take all of this, combine it into one document so that when you guys see it next, you can say, it's been blessed, we agree with the direction that we're going. And then the other element to it is we would have the application, because we want to make sure the application now mirrors up to the guidelines. And that and again, on the application, we're asking all the right questions that we need to get the answers that we have for each of the projects. And then really go through and start from the timeline, start to clean that up. And I'll work with not only county administration, but with Crossroads, just to make sure we're starting to line everything up in this process, and then go forward from there.
Yes, Mayor.
I'm reluctant to ask this, but I will anyway. So on the ratings under deleted, if I'm reading this right, the points have been deleted, and we had so much fun with points and thresholds. Are those points going away permanently, or is that temporary? It's on page 8.
Page 8 at the bottom.
Yeah, we deleted it. The points from the rating criteria.
Steve or Michael want to take a stab at that?
Well, it's not really a legal issue. Excuse me. It's not really a legal issue, but I will say that I think because the mechanism is changing so drastically as far as staff evaluating it and making the recommendations, whether or not they're going to use a point system is still, I think, something that will be determined maybe with the consultant as to how to best develop those rating criteria and to ascribe points or not.
Okay.
But the TDC wouldn't be awarding points anymore. So I think that's kind of what it's recognizing.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mayor?
I just had a quick off-the-cuff question. When I look under documentation required, and I think we changed that quite a bit, but again, going back to the baseball thing, since we know these projects are going to be coming forward, one of the things the Jays were asked to bring forward was sensitive operational documents, like, with the regular art museums, they had to show all of their financial records. Major League Baseball is not going to give that to you. They're just not. It's that confidential stuff that you were talking about earlier. I mean, they put something together that was makeshift, but we were petrified that that was gonna just take it all away because everybody was sticking to everything. So I
It's-
just throw that out.
And in the thing, it says may.
Yeah.
May disqualify.
Yeah.
Not will disqualify. Shall.
So-
It's a may, not a shall.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that certain things, these private organizations like, well, I'll just say Major League Baseball, they're just not going to do.
This is one of those unless authorized by the BCC moments.
There you go.
I'm going to get a T-shirt made like that. I like that one, yeah. Anything further? Everything you need so that we can come back and look at a clean version next month?
I believe so. Michael, is there anything else that work?
Not that jumps out, I think we've addressed it.
Okay, great. I appreciate your feedback. Again, I think it's, again, I wanted to make this as a discussion to bring everything back and have this thing nice and tidy for our next meeting.
All right, moving on.
Okay. Next item is arts plan discussion, and this one relates to the cultural plan and co-op marketing program. So in the budget process for this year, there were two budget items that were submitted by Creative Pinellas. One dealing with a cultural plan, and one is a co-op marketing plan around the arts. In addition to that, there was discussion Mayor Welch brought up around funding around the arts. So we had a lot of things that all kind of coming together at the same time. In conversation with administration, but also with Barbara, felt that the cultural plan gets us going in terms of where we need to go. And I think one of the key things is there's, I know the St. Pete Arts Alliance has a plan that they put together, but having one for the county as a whole, which is where Creative Pinellas comes in, I think is important. I think that will help identify priorities of what we need to do, of direction where we can go. And then when it comes down to the funding element, it helps maybe provide some guidance from that standpoint. I wanted Barbara to talk a little bit today with this group about what that cultural plan would be and what it's going to look like in the process. But then I think also kind of share under the co-op marketing what the opportunities are there as well. Again, I'm one of those, I like seeing a path, and by having the path, it helps identify where the right priorities need to be, and especially when it comes down to limited resources. So, Barbara?
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to talk to you about the cultural plan and the co-op marketing plan. What I'd like to do is divide the conversation into two parts. So when I talk about the cultural plan, I'll stop and take questions, and then talk about the co-op plan and take questions again. So cultural plan, it lets you look at community priorities around the arts. And there's a lot of data on cultural plans. They've actually been doing cultural plans in the United States since the 70s. And they're shown to build the capacities of the community's cultural sector to self-organize, advocate on its own behalf, and partner with other sectors to address community concerns. And I think that those of you who have sort of looked at what Creative Pinellas has been doing over the last 5 to 6 years can see that we've been on that path. So most importantly, from my point of view moving forward, is to integrate with what the arts community and arts sector is doing and what our purpose is, with the purpose and strategy of our community builders at large. So businesses, local governments, the TDC, so that we all become in alignment with what our purpose and direction is. So that's sort of the foundation of the thought process. In preparing for this, for making the decision package about the cultural plan, I did a lot of research on what happens in cultural plans and sort of the difference between a good cultural plan and a very cursory cultural plan, because I wanted to make sure that Pinellas County had something that was very useful, not simply a survey of what people want. If we go out and ask people what they want, we could answer that now. It's a deeper question. So those of you who know me a little bit know that I'm kind of a history nerd and a science nerd, so I did a bunch of reading. My favorite one was Cultural Planning at 40. A 35-page document of which I'm not going to impinge the whole thing on you, but there were a couple of quotes that I thought were really interesting. One was the cultural planning process tends to produce a transition within local arts agencies and their communities. The community involvement that is generated by good culture planning accelerates what would otherwise be a gradual shift in emphasis from arts development to also embrace community development. So the cultural plan speeds that up. And then additionally, when you're engaging in what's a modern cultural plan, arts agencies find themselves to be facilitators, conveners, partnership brokers, problem solvers, information centers, and advocates of the community as well as the arts. And that is the hot button for me, advocates of the community. And finally, in this report of cultural planning at 40 years, which compared cultural planning today versus cultural planning in the late 90s and the aughts, which is when we did our last cultural plan. What it says is they're using more sophisticated research and planning techniques. And through this, they have developed to the larger than arts community involvement. And it's moved local arts agencies and arts communities into larger roles in their respective communities, bringing the resources, capacities, and know-how of the cultural sector to bear on important community development issues. And so that is the underlying focus and why we are doing what we're doing as we move forward with the cultural plan. So with that being said, I think probably the question of the day is, well, how are you going to do it? And so what we are going to do, we're working very closely with Visit St. Petersburg Clearwater. I have identified through my hours of research about 4 to 5 cultural planning organizations, professional cultural planning organizations that I think will serve the community well, and we will reach out to them and vet them. We are going to create an advisory board, and we are going to bring the community together, and then I get to do a little commercial right here. We are having a town hall meeting on September 30th, and our keynote speaker at that town hall meeting will talk about cultural planning and what makes a good cultural plan. And then we will step from there to bring the community together. Our outcomes are to get really good data about what is going on in the community, not just where we want to be, but where we are and why we are and who we are, so that we have the information we need to create a good roadmap. It shows us where to invest, what to invest in, how to optimize resources, and set the stage for the future of Pinellas County continuing and growing as an arts and cultural destination. So, brief overview of cultural planning because I'm controlling my inner history and science nerd. Questions?
Mayor Welch.
Well, that is a badge of honor, right? I really think this is a great idea. I wanted to ask, we've talked before about our level of support for the arts and what's possible through the bed tax to do that. But this, to me, seems like really a business analysis that really tells us where we are, builds a business case, and then hopefully has a business plan.
Yes.
How those dollars would be applied for community impact long-term. So I'd love to see that economic and fiscal component because, you know, when we brought this forward before, it was based on data that now is several years old that compared us to other regions. This would tell us,
Yes.
you know, more definitively where the gaps are in Pinellas County, and also answer what we can fund from the bed tax, and if we have to go to other resources.
Right. I agree. And I think it really sets the stage. When we were talking about the dedicated funding for the arts and the percentage of a penny, I feel that people were very interested in this group and out of the community in that as a concept and supportive of the concept. The question I heard over and over, how will we spend it? How will we distribute it? How will we know we're making good decisions and good investments? And I think this cultural plan sets the stage for that. We will have very good data and very good information to make those kinds of decisions. And also one of the things that comes out of the cultural plan based on this research is it really pulls the community together, the arts community and the economic development community and the business community, civic leaders. So I think it really puts things in a very good order to move forward, Mayor Welch.
Informed decision-making is always a good thing. And when you say who we are, you're referring to the arts community.
Yes, yes. We will be coordinating certainly with the St. Pete Arts Alliance, the Clearwater Arts Alliance, arts leaders in Dunedin. We're working with the Dunedin Fine Arts Center on a research project right now, Safety Harbor, Gulfport, Tarpon. We've already started setting the stage for this with our Americans for the Arts research project, which is economic impact. So in a very nice way, a lot of different things are coming together to move us forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mayor Hibbert, did you have?
No, I support this. I think this is the right sequence of events. We really need the plan that is going to inform the decisions that we make.
Yes.
And then we can move forward with other funding that's been proposed. But I think without having a plan, we're making decisions in a vacuum.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mayor?
I support it as well. Quick question. I'm assuming when you say an arts and cultural master plan, I'm assuming that will include performing arts?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay. You know, music.
Thank you, thank you.
And plays and all that. But that's good.
Yes.
So if I can make one recommendation, I think it would be important, and maybe it's one meeting with anybody from municipalities that want to come. I do think you have to talk to the 24 local governments. And here's why, because we in local government are doing projects that aren't being run by the Art Center or other things. We have our own public art master plan, okay, and we have our own things that we're trying to fund and even spur in our community, and maybe we're not paying for the whole thing, but we're initiating it. And I think you'll miss out on the complete picture without communicating with the local governments.
Yes.
And I think you'll get a lot of buy-in.
Thank you.
Really, I think that's important because like for us, we're on a mural program. When I look at what they've done in Clearwater, just the simple things, the wraps around the electrical boxes and the painting of the stormwater drains and the painting, the things that you've done with the dumpsters. I mean, those are small things, but if you see that county-wide, it totally makes us stand out for more than just the beach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I really, and that's sort of government initiated. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I made that
Williams.
note.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Barbara, I too am very supportive of this. A couple questions. Have you identified who the consultant is that you will contract to do the work?
We have identified 4 or 5 that we think do stellar work in this field, and so we will be starting the process of interviewing them. Steve Hayes and I are getting together, I think next week, to start detailing out the process. But yeah, that was some work that I did actually when I was trying to put together the decision package. I wanted to make sure that my vision for what we would get was actually something that we could find somebody to deliver. So that's
Hopefully somebody that is in the county?
probably not. It's not an expertise in the county, but we do have some folks in Florida that we're talking to. We want to make sure that, and I would say, this is a little bit off the cuff, but I would say it's probably better to get somebody from outside the county because they're going to be more objective. But we will tap deeply into county resources and tap deeply into the arts community and arts supporters and arts audiences. And we will make sure that voices are heard. That is one of the criteria that we will be asking for the consulting firm, that we make sure that we go deep into the community and not just superficial. In other words, not just the people who always have voices, but people whose voices maybe have not been heard in the past.
What's the timeline that you see this project taking?
It usually takes 6 to 9 months to do a good cultural plan. So depending on how quickly we can get started, it would be certainly very, very good to have at least a good draft in time for the spring, for the budgeting process. But we want to accelerate it as best we can, but it will take some time.
Sure. And finally, would there be a regularly scheduled updates that you would provide to the TDC along the way in that 6 to 9 months so we
Thank you so much.
see how that investment is going?
Thank you so much for asking. You could see I'm smiling because when Steve Hayes and I meet next week, that was like one of the first things I was going to say to him, that I would want to do that.
Great.
So thank you. Now he has to say yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Welch?
Where is the September 30th meeting?
It will be at Ruth Eckert in their second floor community meeting room from 12:30 to 1 o'clock for networking and 1 to 4 for the town hall itself.
Is it a Creative Pinellas meeting or separate?
Well, Creative Pinellas established this We Convene project that we've been doing since February, and we have a number of partners.
So it's open?
Yes, it's open to the public, but also our partners are participating. So the Woodson Museum is a partner, Forward Pinellas is a partner.
Send us an email.
Yes, I will, absolutely.
And do you have to go through an RFP process for the consultant?
Yes, I think we will.
Okay. What was your timeline again? I know.
We're going to try to get, obviously, it's the 2023 budget, so any of the things that require funding will happen after that, but we want to accelerate the early part of the process within the next 30 days.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Further? Chuck?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, Barbara, thank you. Your leadership on the arts, we all know it, we all appreciate it, but we don't always say it, so thank you. I'm also a big supporter of the cultural plan. It's just smart business. Just a quick question. It's the $240,000 you said comes from the general funds. Would it come from TDC dollars anywhere, or is it BCC's general funds? I assumed.
Actually, it'll come out of TDTs, so that'll be in our budget, and I'll look to Jim just to verify that, correct?
Yes, we included $240,000 for the TDC to run the program. It's not, we don't have it in the budget as a transfer to the Creative Pinellas. It is, it's designed to be a plan that the CVB puts together and coordinates, correct?
Yeah, so we'll administer it, but again, realizing that Barbara and her team have the creds to make this happen, and we just want to be involved in the process. That's how we want to have that, but really us administering it.
Further questions? Barbara, will it be as straightforward as here's the consultant, the report will come back and it'll say, here's where we believe a gap in the arts in Pinellas County is, and here's 3 ideas of how to meet that gap with the kind of the Chevy Buick Cadillac plan of X dollars, Y dollars, Z dollars for each one of those? Is it going to be that kind of clear cut for politicians like me to be able to read and figure out what's the best path forward?
There will certainly be an executive summary that will have that
Okay.
presentation with it.
Because I think, when we get that laundry list, and I assume the list will be substantial, that we probably won't be able to fund it all. So to be able to go through and start prioritizing some of those, and whether we lean heavy on programming or lean heavy on capital, or, depending on what our strict restrictions are. But, okay, that's what I'm looking forward to, having those kind of, that buffet of choices.
Yes. What I also want to do, though, is sort of in terms of what you said, you can't fund everything, but I would like to have the detail, too, of if we can't do it now, what is our future opportunities? So I would like, cultural plans need to last a certain amount of time. So I would like it to be a roadmap for us and what we can do in the next couple of years, but maybe what we want to do even beyond that.
Well, no, and I think that having that clarity of a plan will help gather support, rather than it being a vague, we all support arts, we all want to have progress there, but to have a plan laid out. And you're right, maybe we do this part this year, this part, no, I think that's going to be very helpful. Mayor?
I was just going to say, I totally agree with you, making it simple and showing where those gaps are. And I also think it not only helps the TDC figure out what they want to do, but it helps the various municipalities. If you say there's I'll just say a gap in North County for whatever, well then North County cities should also be involved and be contributing towards that piece of it. But I do have a question. We all got all of the emails about contributing a penny or whatever it was. I don't remember, but there was a lot of email traffic about putting that money towards the arts. Is it being seen is it being thought, at least now, that once you get this done, it'll show what you need, it'll show the dollar amount, that then might justify that? Is that what you're
That is a very good question.
trying to get to?
I don't think it's cause and effect. I think there were some parallel activities, and Creative Pinellas was coming to this body and then the BCC with some decision packages, and there was also, and I'm very glad that the discussion was raised, that there needed to be dedicated funding, and that an opportunity for dedicated funding perhaps could be a % of a penny from the TDC, and we got to have some really good discussions about whether that conceptually was something worth thinking about and talking about it, and we discovered that it was worth thinking and talking about it. And the question was, but how, and for instance, Mayor Hibbert, how to make sure that the peanut butter is spread throughout the county, and what would it be spent on, and all the really good questions that came out both from this group and from the community.
Well, and if I can just give you an example too, like in my community, I have a private group working on an idea of a theater. They love the Capitol Theater. They want something, maybe not to that degree, but something like that. And they're trying to do it all on their own. They're trying to do it without city funding. I'm sure you're aware of it. And they've done extensive work on this. But let's say they hadn't started that and they still had that idea. Your cultural plan, if it's done right, would then say,
right,
we have a need for a theater in this area of the county, and that would give them more ammunition to go do that.
Right. You're so absolutely right. One of the things that the cultural plan does is allow the sector to self-organize, partly because of the way this county is organized with the 24 municipalities and the unincorporated areas. It has been hard for the arts organizations to self-organize to some degree. That's more pronounced in Central and North County than it is in the St. Petersburg area. But the whole idea of this is to help that. So we don't have so many individual initiatives, that we figure out what to do as a community that makes sense for everybody.
Further questions on the plan? Ms. Moore?
Thank you very much. Just, first of all, I'm really glad that we're doing this discussion at 10 o'clock instead of 20 minutes to 12. We had those fits and starts where we were having these prior discussions, and it seems like, the energy had kind of been sucked out of the room. So it's good. And I can feel the flow of information has built from the time, Mayor, when you brought up about the funds, and then, I don't know, was it conveniently that you weren't there the next meeting, and I was kind of like trying to have the discussion in the last 20 minutes? But point being is that it's important, obviously, as the TDC rep on Creative Pinellas and having been a part of it since its inception, it's the plan for the future. And so we brought it up, and it's been discussed in fits and starts, and Julie, you made the comment too. We can't talk about dedicated funding if we don't have a roadmap, and that's what the cultural plan is in my mind's eye. These discussions have been so great because we've come to this conclusion, and it appears we have buy-in from budgeting and management and admin and the BCC to move the plan forward. And I think it's so important with that plan that it is a countywide initiative. It isn't one arts alliance or one group vying for attention. This is going to give us that map where I feel we are talking about it as the county overall. You know, I hate to keep coming back to the peanut butter spread thing, but you know, that was.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't catch on too well.
I'm not allergic to peanut butter, but anyway, no, I think that's a great analogy again, that, you know, we have to look at this as it's fair to everyone and all of the communities. And it's not just today, it's what do we see morphing out of this in the future. So thank you for letting me comment on that.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. We appreciate it. Anything else on the plan before we move? All right, Barbara?
Okay, so co-op advertising, we also put in a decision package to do some co-op advertising, and the secret sauce of co-op advertising is for every dollar that that we spend, the advertiser puts in a dollar. It's a pay-for-play kind of concept. The problem it's trying to solve is the challenge of connecting visitors to the arts. So we are launching the Arts Navigator to help with that. And in addition, we want to create a marketing fund for arts organization, artists, and arts businesses to connect with people once they're here and get their attention and tell them to buy their ticket now, to come and see Beacon Dance now, to come and see American Stage now, to come to the James Museum now, because this is the exhibit. And also to help some of the smaller organizations that don't have advertising budget. You know, $1,000 or $1,500 for an advertising budget might not go far, but if you double that, you can really have some impact. We're going to be working with Visit St. Pete Clearwater and their media buying experts to make sure that the dollars are spent effectively. And it is a call to action advertising, so it's not branding advertising. It's really telling the visitor, come and do this while you're here. And it's really organized, though, to support the brand promise of Pinellas County as an arts and cultural destination. So we will be recruiting businesses and arts organizations and artists to participate. And we sort of see this first year as a pilot program, an experiment, a data collection, and to see if we can move the needle and engage our visitors in participating more actively with the arts opportunities that they have in market once they're here.
Questions? Mr. Prather?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am 100% in support of this. I think this is exactly what we've talked about in the past, promoting the arts. Steve has done a great job of bumping his budget for promoting the arts on more of a global scale in traditional approaches. But here you're fine-tuning that dollar to a group, small group, medium-sized group that's local, that wants to promote their event. The only thing that's bothering me a little bit is who's going to decide? The arts is such a broad term. And if it's an extremely confrontational group and they claim that their art is a protest, their art is something that is just very distasteful in most people's eyes, but in their eyes, it's not distasteful. Who gets to decide if you're going to, or we as the county, through you, are going to pay for half of their promotional budget for a confrontational event?
So that would go to guidelines, and we need to have very easy to understand but complete and strict guidelines. When we work with the county on the mural projects, we're very, very clear on what is okay and what is not. And it's a voluntary program, you know, so if you want to volunteer to receive our money, you have to volunteer to
It's such an
these guidelines.
It's such an outlier, and I don't anticipate it coming, but I just want to bring the question up that we're aware that there has to be some guidelines written into it.
And it's tourism dollars, and it's meant to support the tourism goals of Pinellas County as an arts and culture destination. So it becomes nothing is easy. I use the word easy too freely. But in a sense, it becomes very easy to say, if this art is positioning, making people, if it's political, if it's promoting inappropriate things, it's not supporting this county as an arts and culture destination. So there's a good foundation for making those decisions.
Thank you very much.
I would suggest that all the yard signs you saw on the way in today are not art. But Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Barbara, the $400,000, how long do you see that funding your efforts? Is that an annual, you talk about this as a launch.
Right.
Will there be future requests coming down the road?
So really, really good questions. The original request was for $400,000, I believe, and Jim, you can help me out here. I believe it's going to be funded at $200,000. We're looking at it as a pilot, and yes, if it is successful, we will be saying this should be a program that needs to be baked in to what we're doing as a community. And then, of course, we may ask for more because if you give a mouse a cookie, but yeah.
Steve, is it possible for us to funnel all of the media purchases through the agency, through BVK?
It's a conversation I'll want to have with BVK, but the intent is how can we use their expertise and their buying power to get the best rates possible in whatever mechanism we're going to be utilizing.
Mayor Hibbard?
I think to Chuck's point, art is in the eye of the beholder, and so everybody's got different opinions on that, which I think makes it difficult. Barbara, I support you. I think you do a marvelous job, and I'm really looking forward to the cultural plan. This one I'm not as crazy about. I'm really concerned about hiring a new FTE.
We're not.
Okay.
You just got the original plan, but in its current, yeah.
Misunderstood. But
Yeah.
once you do that, now you're getting committed.
Yeah.
So-
You put in how you imagine it, and then reality sets in and you make an adjustment. But I think Steve and I talked about whether or not to include the cultural, the requests, the decision package requests, and they have so much data as to why we felt that it was a good thing to do. But thank you for giving me the
I
opportunity
think
to
this goes
clarify.
to sequencing again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'd prefer to see the cultural plan in place, and then I think that gives us a strategy of what to target. But
Mayor Welch? Microphone, please.
Has anything else changed in the decision package we have other than the total funded?
So the total is 200,000, and there is no FTE. We will figure out how to bring this plan forward. The biggest contribution from Creative Pinellas will be recruitment of the arts organizations and the artists, and being very clear about what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. Mayor Hibbert, I would suggest to you that This is something that the arts community really has been asking for a very long time, and it is an investment that we see as a test. And we will know from that test whether we can be successful or not. I am very much of a supporter of moving forward with this and making it possible for some of the smaller organizations that have not been able to get attention.
Mayor Bujalski?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I had one other.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Mayor Welch?
Okay, real quickly. So I'm supportive of this as well, particularly in the streamlined version. You mentioned media outlets in here. Does that include in the digital space? Are we geofencing?
We will be doing some early research to really identify where, when a tourist comes here, where are they getting their information? And if we believe that they're getting it in the digital field, and we will be depending on the work that Steve and Visit St. Pete Clearwater and the agencies, if they're getting it from their digital fields, or if there's something like Yelp or whatever where we need to do it digitally, we will.
So we do such a great job with data here, and I know music is in the eye of the beholder, Mayor Hibbert. But say I like Prince, which I do. He's awesome. And there's some show in downtown Dunedin, a Prince show. Is there any way we can tag that person, identify them, trace them like you're traced
Well,
on the internet, and say, hey, Ken, there's a Prince show at 10 o'clock tonight?
so that's part of what we're looking for the Arts Navigator to do. So this will work closely with the Arts Navigator, and we'll be able to pitch that information to people who have participated with that.
But that level of tracking,
I'm going to let Steve answer. His expertise is greater than mine.
Mayor, that would also be a sold-out show if that occurred.
absolutely, absolutely.
And Mayor, as long as you have that fine device in your hand and you've taken off your privacy and you have clicked on an ad and we've gathered all the information, yes, we'll be able to tell exactly what you like and be able to serve you that information.
That is exciting and a little bit scary.
It
So,
is.
thank you.
I thought Prince was opening the amphitheater, but before we move, Jim, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, the budget, the original request was for $400,000 to be paid to Creative Pinellas as part of their annual transfer. And that, I believe, was going to involve adding one FTE, as the mayor pointed out. But it's been changed to a $200,000 item, which stays within the CVB budget as part of their total advertising budget. And if there is an agreement between CVB and Creative Pinellas on metrics, on goals for the program and how to measure all those things, then I believe that CVB has the ability to, I don't know if it'll be a transfer or if they would fund it through their regular advertising. I think that's still to be worked out, but the money is not initially intended to go to Creative Pinellas as part of their transfer. They get a transfer from the CVB of just under $800,000, plus they get, I believe, $145,000 from the general fund and another $36,000, I believe, from the Transportation Trust Fund to do various things. So it's just under $1 million that they get from the county. This $200,000 and the $240,000 we talked about earlier for the plan stays within the CVB budget and is expended by CVB, and as they see fit with that. So that is how the decision package changed from its initial request to how it's currently in the proposed budget, which will go to the board for final approval.
Mayor Bujalski?
I was just going to say, when I first read this, I was like, is this over? I mean, they're already, one of our goals is to advertise arts, right? But I really liked what you said because it's very different. We're advertising arts to attract those people here. What you're doing is once they're here, telling them about things that are happening.
Right. So I can give you a perfect example, the Dunedin Film Festival, which actually received
Right.
an NEA grant from us as well. They don't have money to advertise, but in the little newspaper that gets,
The Beacon.
right, we could help them for just during the time when their festival is, because that's when they want people to come. And we can help them make that affordable and get that information out with this program.
And I think that's good because, you know, for the smaller cities like Dunedin, I'll tell you, and organizations in Dunedin, which are also small, we're always trying to get people out of downtown St. Pete and Clearwater Beach. And we try to find ways to do that because for the most part, when you go on a vacation to, let's say, an area, yeah, you concentrate in the area you're going to, but you want to expand your horizons and to be able to capture that and get them into other areas of our county gives them a reason to come back. Oh, hey, I really like Dunedin, or oh, hey, I really like Tarpon Springs or Largo, whatever it is. That again, that pushes them to come back because they had multiple things to do.
Mayor Hibbard, did you have something? No. All right, thank you. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the Arts Navigator active and working?
We are, thank you so much for asking. We, my team, along with Visit St. Pete Clearwater, is at the Piedmont, headed to the Piedmont Arts Festival in Atlanta this weekend, and that will be the first public launch of the Arts Navigator for, for tourists.
I'm looking online and I can't find it on your website. Yeah.
It's artsnavigator.com. But yeah, so it is actually officially soft launching this coming weekend.
Thank you.
Sure.
Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Barbara, love what you and your team do. Very easy to work with. We appreciate that. And I don't know if it falls under one of these or if it's under another section of creative, but I'd love to see an education element for the hospitality staff so they understand what we're talking about, what those opportunities, the things that are North County. And that could be an online. I'll give an example. Busch Gardens annually has all of our staff do an online training so they know exactly what's happening, and they actually get a certificate and I think a free ticket or something. But it's just a way that they know they've gone on and every year get updated on what's going on. I think that'd be a great component if it's not already under a program.
Well, thank you for that. That is so good to hear. We actually were like right on the verge of something like that when COVID hit, and we're talking about what it would take to pick that back up and move it forward, and also even using the gallery facility as an educational opportunity for the tourism industry. So thank you. That expression of interest is really good to hear.
Further questions, comments for Barbara? Ms. Moore?
So to kind of do a wrap up on that as well, I think that, again, seeing the developing cooperation between VSPC and their expertise and staff and the various departments that we have, and Creative Pinellas, back to, I think, Julie, your comment about, yes, VSPC is more focused on the arts, but the cooperation of the two working together, the expertise of Creative Pinellas having the arts, and then working with the marketing and advertising arms. This is hands and above, where we've been in the past, and I see that cooperation and growing, and it makes sense to have VSPC handle the funding because, again, Creative Pinellas doesn't need to be creating more and more budgeting requirements and funding mechanisms, and I'm comfortable that we have such a concerted effort between the agencies, so to speak, to make that happen. So, like the direction we're going, and thank you for all your support to make that happen.
Anything for? Yeah, I think on this, the co-op, it is probably the number one thing I've heard over the last year as far as requests from artists and smaller art organizations. And so I think it can start before we have the full plan done. And it is a pilot. And I think that whatever team you put together to do the evaluations, fully understand that future years' support will be on the shoulders of the success or failures of the pilot. So everyone knows that going in. So I think that hopefully will provide some of the safeguards that some of you have mentioned, and I share that concern. Art is definitely in the eye of the beholder. I took my family to an exhibit last weekend, and I can tell you there were 4 different opinions on what we saw, and 4 different values of what we liked or didn't like. So, and that is the way it goes. So those are my 2 cents. Anything else for Barbara? Mr. Williams?
So, Mr. Chairman, what's the next step? Do we vote on this, or?
This is in the budget. This is in the proposed administrator's budget for the Board of County Commissioners. Assuming that it gets passed as is, October 1st, it is in effect, and they can start spending money.
Well,
Right? Jim is giving me a look. According to all the normal guidelines that would go in with budgeting. How about that?
Well, the funding's actually in CVB's budget, so they would have to do the spending of that money, the 240 for the plan and the 200 for the co-op. So it's not like, the Creative Pinellas can start planning,
Right.
spending it. So,
I
make a
think you knew
motion
that I
to
meant
approve
under all
it.
the requirements and guidelines that would be applicable.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
There's a motion to support this portion of the CVB budget for the county budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimous. So you have that vote of support and confidence, Barbara. Thank you.
thank you so much. And,
Sure.
oh, somebody else?
Yeah, in a previous life, when Creative Pinellas was not functioning as well as it is today, you came in and you've done such a tremendous job. And I remember the cultural plan is one of the things we talked about years ago. So this is a big day.
It is.
Thank you for your hard work.
Oh, thank you. It is a big day. And thanks to all of you. Steve, thanks to you and your team. It does feel really good. I will just say that. The way we're going,
You've done a lot
it's
of good work on that.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hayes, department updates. Take us away.
Okay. First item under department updates, advertising, marketing. I'm going to have Katie Bridges come up, and I've got some exciting things to share. And then after that, we'll have Mackenzie come up to talk on the PR side. But Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here to share with you some new updates with our brand, and also on your desk you have a copy of our new Gulf to Bay Destination magazine that was launched a couple weeks ago. But first, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to Marcus Awanya. Marcus, if you want to come on up. Marcus is our creative manager. He has been at Visit St. Pete Clearwater for 7+ years, and he is amazing, talented. Our staff relies on him so much with marketing requests. We get marketing requests constantly from our staff that need presentations, flyers, ads, programs, videos. And Marcus jumps on it as soon as he gets the request and puts together an amazing product. He is so talented and such an amazing artist. He creates, our team needed some Adirondack chairs painted, and Marcus jumped at the opportunity. He's created fiberglass dolphins, painted a fiberglass dolphin for us that's up at the I-75 Welcome Center. He shoots videos and edits videos, and so we're so excited to have him on our team. And he has a huge role in the Gulf to Bay Destination magazine that you have on your desk. Since you started here, he creates a lot of the photography that's in the magazine, and then he was also very instrumental in our Let's Shine campaign, and working on the shoot when we were capturing new video and photography for it. Helping direct and talk to the director and saying, no, you know what, this is what we need. This is what we need for our destination. And so being that vocal. So I just wanted to make sure you all had an opportunity to meet Marcus, and I just want to say hello.
Hello.
Good morning, Marcus. Wonderful to have you on the board.
Thank you. So yeah, I wanted to share our Gulf to pointing at the right screen. I think the clicker is, it's not working. So our Gulf to Bay Destination Magazine. Pete, are you able to advance?
There you go. He's moving it forward for you.
Thank you. So yes, our Gulf to Bay Destination Magazine was our 10th anniversary issue this year. We've been partnering with the Tampa Bay Times, and such a great partnership since day one. They have such expertise in the market and writing editorial and working with our advertisers. This year we printed 500,000 copies and have already distributed over 400,000 in our Florida markets. On June 26th, we did an in-state distribution in some newspapers in Florida, and then July 31st and August 7th, we did over 300,000 in our out-of-state feeder markets, such as Chicago, Philadelphia, DC. This is also our mail fulfillment piece for all online Destination Magazine orders. We actually have a social campaign going right now where we're using targeting to understand people that are interested in our destination and serving them a social ad, inviting them to sign up to get to receive our Destination Magazine in the mail. That's been very successful. We also distribute it at AAA offices, the welcome centers, and the airports. And next slide. Here's one of the slides, one of the spreads in the new magazine. This is our art section. So this is the lead off to about a 10-page section in the magazine dedicated to arts. And then we have, next slide. Oh, yay, it's working now. Our best of section, which is always really popular, and we do voting every fall to get our residents and locals to vote for their best places. And so this is through research from the last issue. This is one of the top content pieces in the magazine. Then we have our food section. The dining section was also a #1 a content piece. And then this is our things to do. So please, I hope you enjoy looking through the magazine. It is a labor of love every year, and it does, through research, we actually have a survey we're doing this year as well. We're inviting people to tell us about the magazine and for the chance to win a trip to the destination, and we're using that research to make decisions for future years. Oh, and this was Marcus's big piece, one of his big contributions to the magazine is this bucket list concept that he put together in the magazine. So now I want to talk to you about our brand campaign, which I'm so excited about. Nearly a decade ago, working with BVK, we identified vibrancy as our core human value. So BVK works on this value-based positioning and understanding kind of the core human value as a destination's, what their brand strategy is. So this positioning becomes the soul of the brand. It just enables data-driven and human-centered approach to bridging strategic insights, breakthrough creative, and to drive stronger results. So nearly a decade ago, we went through a research-intense deep dive into the brand, our culture, the audience, to unearth a core human value that connects deeply with the brand's DNA. And we came up with vibrancy. So we looked at the brand, what we're made of: world-class art museums, beaches, restaurants, attractions, our audience, based on our target audience, what are some of their core, what they enjoy, and then the culture to land on this vibrancy, which we define as a state of being full of energy, enthusiasm, and brightness. And since 2014, we have creatively expressed the Vibrancy Plan platform in several successful marketing campaigns. When we launched, it was Live Amplified, and there was a creative with that. Most recently was our Immerse Your Senses, which was our ad campaign that we launched in 2020. And late last year, we identified a need for a new campaign. The last significant creative production was in 2014 when we had a video shoot production. And we felt there was a need for some new assets. as you know, since then, new product has been added to the market with the new St. Pete Pier, the CMA. So we, realized there was a need to get new content. And then we've done some recent studies. So the brand perception study identified new opportunities for connecting with potential visitors, and also just the importance for us to be fresh and memorable with our creative, and really, coming to, to our potential visitors with, a fresh look. So in developing this brand campaign, we looked at our traveler priorities, our marketing objectives, the brand perception. We put together a campaign, we went out and tested it, and that's where we landed on the new creative. So, through our brand perception study, we looked at the traveler priorities for overnight destination selection, and these are what they identified, our target in the brand perception study that Destination Analyst did last year, as what our target audience looks for when they're making a destination selection. So ambience and atmosphere, opportunities to relax, natural beauty. So all of those things are things that we took into consideration when we built the new brand campaign. We looked at our destination marketing priorities, that we want to create a powerful message and connection strategy, build off our brand platform vibrancy. This was taken from the goals that I had shared with you earlier in the year, and also taking a look at some of the stuff that that we've been seeing from the results from the strategic plan. And then also looking at the brand perception study was what did that target audience say were some of the strengths of the destination, and where do we have opportunities to grow, and how can we take the insights from that to build out the campaign. So as you can see, strengths, relaxation, beaches that suit my taste, outdoor natural beauty. But we also saw that we have the opportunity to showcase more of our strong art scene, that we are a place with a variety of things to do. Whereas we have beautiful beaches, definitely, but there are other things, one-of-a-kind experiences. And so that we created this, this is called our brand positioning. This is what we, know this is difficult to read, but this is what we have in our brand guidelines. This is what our agencies will use to develop content and messaging, is looking at this positioning, and it all ladders up to that vibrancy, that brand positioning that we have. And so with all of that, the agency came up with our campaign, which is Let's Shine. They actually came up with 2 creative concepts that all rolled back up to the vibrancy platform, but we wanted to see how they performed in testing. So we did one head-to-head creative testing, partnering with Destination Analysts. Back in January, we did 30 in-depth interviews, looking at a diverse audience, inclusion of our leisure travelers, specifically looking at leisure travelers, of participants that reside in our key target markets. There were 60-minute one-on-one interviews in which participants reviewed the 2 different potential advertising campaign concepts, and Let's Shine outperformed the alternate concept. And just some of the insights from that testing, that the Let's Shine aligned well with travelers' definition of vibrancy: colorful, exciting, alive, and energized. Appealed to millennials and baby boomers. They found the campaign to be inclusive and welcoming, especially with the invitation of Let's. It portrayed St. Pete Clearwater as a place with a strong art scene and a variety of things to do. Some of the things that we had identified through the brand perception study that we wanted to, make sure that came forward in the new campaign. The participants noted the importance to portray the beach, that beach is still king, but that they wanted to see more of the uniqueness of the destination and a diversity of activities. So I'd like to invite Carmen Boyce with BVK. She's going to come up and share with you some of the elements of the new campaign. And as I mentioned, back in May, we did a photo and video shoot with the agency and captured a lot of great new content that you'll be seeing here in some of the next upcoming slides.
So first, I just want to say thank you for having us here today. boy, did we get a lot of great footage and a lot of great assets when we did our shoot back in May. We worked a number of days, full days. They were 12-hour days. We pushed and worked and kept everybody hopping. There was no sitting around because we wanted to just get as much as we possibly could. We knew this needed to last us a while. So what we did too is we know that through all this research, everything is data driven. We wanted to get more than beaches. Beaches are important. We got beaches. Don't want to ever overlook that. But we wanted to have a vibe. We wanted to show what this wonderful destination has to offer so that people don't just come once. We want them coming back again. We want them to feel like they just tapped the surface and they need to come back to do something else again. So this is what the platform is about. It's time to bask in the sunshine again. And in St. Pete Clearwater, the sun always shines a little brighter. Here, regardless of the weather or season, day or night, every visit is vibrant and rejuvenating. Every color is more vivid. Every sip more flavorful. Every smell more intoxicating. Every touch more intense. Every moment more memorable. So, let's escape. Let's make the most of every visit. Let's get together by getting away. Let's shine. So I'm going to share some sample photography. One of the things that we wanted to make sure over the years we've gotten lots and lots of just beautiful beach photography. Marcus and Jiminy do just a phenomenal job going out into the marketplace and getting, things that are going on, getting great drone footage of the beaches. It's just wonderful. So we wanted to do a little deeper, go get some beautiful glamour shots of some of the activities. Again, we want to highlight everything that there is to do. So obviously we went down to Fort DeSoto, got a little paddle boarding, some beautiful shots of kayaking. And by the way, I'm showing you guys just a few of these things. We've got thousands. We've got so much. This is just the crux. And what I'm going to share with you today is just the tip. We're going to have so much more exciting assets that we're going to be creating for years out of this shoot. We got some wonderful, you'll see a lot of friends photography here. One of the things that we've seen is that millennials really like to travel. They like to travel girls' weekends with friends, and we wanted to have a lot more of that. Our average age of our visitor skews into the high 40s. So our campaign, as you saw, it scored very well with younger audiences as well as audiences. So we wanted to show a little bit more of that younger audience to say, hey, we really do have a vibe and some cool things to do here. Great fun at the pier. Another great shot from the pier up at Pier Tiki, with this being able to see the skyline in the background. Chuck Heather was fantastic in helping us coordinate all that. We got a lot of wonderful shots up there, so it's really awesome. In Dunedin, doing a little shopping. And also going up to Woodwright Brewery, which was just really fantastic. We got a lot of nice outdoor shots with folks there. And then obviously over at the Moran Art Center. Back up in Dunedin, I love this shot because one of the things we want to show are some of these icons that are unique to us. So it's not just that you can bike, but you can bike on this trail that takes you right along in front of a lemonade, restaurant. Here in St. Pete, this is a beautiful shot there at Dirty Laundry. And this and variations of this has turned into really a hero shot for us. So it's really highlighting our beautiful sunsets. So let me show you some creative. So what you'll notice through here is Katie referenced our guidelines. One of the things that we're doing through all of our design in this is to create and stand out from the competition. We wanted to really look different. If you flip through travel magazines, you see gorgeous photography, but it's hard to tell, well, this could be Miami, this could be Panama City, this could be, anywhere, because it'll be just a beautiful beach photo. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to show some of our personality. So what you're gonna see is the use of this, what we call the duotone. We've got set colors for this, but it's, in a lot of in most of our creative, where you'll see that usage, it starts showing, that we're a little bit more artsy, but just even the way that we use it with our photography of activities or beach. We have a wave that you will see as a common element through a lot of our designs. And then we've got a unique new color palette. As you'll notice, we've taken the logo, we've made it flat. That's a new trend now, is to move away from 3D logos. We've made it simple. And every ad that we have ends with "Let's do something." Let's shine. Let's feast. Let's, because we want it to be very inviting and inclusive. So another one of our ads here, let's plan on no plans. One thing you'll notice through a lot of the imagery and a lot of the ads that we're doing is we wanted to be very inclusive. That's one of our big goals for this year. When we did our shoot, we wanted to make sure that we had a lot of diversity and inclusivity represented here. So on this, we've got our Black family, which is lovely. We have families, we have couples, again, arts. Another thing here, and work with Barbara and her team, we wanted to make sure too that we were separating arts just a little bit. So what you'll notice here is this color here on the right is the green, is something that we're using whenever we specifically highlight arts. It has its own little unique look. So let's ooh and ah. And every arts ad you see will have a combination, whether it's dark green or light green, within this family to make sure that we start recognizing the arts. I think you may remember when we presented our media plan, we went to this half-page strip across the bottom. It really stands out nicely. I think you can see, you know, it's usually against editorial, so it was really nice. Let's get all artsy again here in front of the Dolly. And of course, got to have dining on the beach. We also have out of home. As you'll notice on this board, it's sequential. So we had some boards where we specifically had the animation on the board go from this key message to build up to Let's Shine. Others and other boards were just the regular 6 seconds that's on the board. For in-state, we wanted to specifically call out our where we are geographically. So we're inviting people to head west or to get to the Gulf, you know, remind people that they want to come here versus the East Coast. We also have display banners, a couple of the first ones out of the gate here. You know, again, playing off what we saw with our print ads with Let's Get on Board. And then again with Let's Beaching. Our biggie, our video.
Let's make every day a beach day. Let's induce some serious vacation envy. Let's make it look like we've done this before. Let's reconnect. Let's get it fresh from the Gulf. Let's shine in St. Pete Clearwater.
Yay! As you'll note, this spot really does have a lot of our key audiences in here. We had an LGBTQ couple with us throughout the shoot. We had families, we had young groups, so we did really make an effort. We had Latin. We really wanted to make sure that we're being as welcoming and inclusive in our advertising, and wanted to make sure that our new spots represented that as well. But as you can see, we covered a lot of the county, and we'll continue to produce even more and more work. But I want to thank Steve and Katie and Marcus. You know, Katie was talking about, you know, how wonderful it was to have them truly integrated into the production, and it was. And Marcus didn't just contribute intellectually, but he had our photographer on his shoulders when we needed to get height. We really had a really good effort to produce all the work. So.
Yeah. You have any questions before you walk away? Any questions? Mayor?
Can we get that PowerPoint? Because there's no way I could take notes fast enough, and I need to be able to tell people about this. Thank you.
And is that, to your point, is that final, the video that we saw, where is that now available, or is it still internal only? Is it on our YouTube page already? Is it?
Yes, it is on our YouTube page, and we'll be sending out a release to our industry partners this afternoon at noon.
Awesome.
Sharing about the new campaign with them. But we'll also share the deck from this morning. I'll have to send that to Liz and have her send that out.
I'm sorry, one other
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
With this campaign, do you make, I don't know, I guess paper products or something, whatever, that goes to our visitor centers? Rack cards or anything?
No,
like
I mean, we do have our destination magazine that we do distribute to the Chamber Visitor Centers. We don't have one yet with the Let's Shine campaign. That's something that we're discussing.
Okay, because we're going into this fall, season starts, so it's just good to have something. I don't know what, but something.
Great, appreciate that.
Mayor Welch?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great job. You really shouldn't look at this magazine if you haven't had breakfast, because great photography in there. Love the job. I had a question on the 30 interviews. How did you arrive at that number?
With Destination Analysts, so that was a recommendation from them. They were very in-depth 60-minute interviews and we did some figuring out, okay, how many from each of the different markets, made sure that there was a representative sample from the different, diversity backgrounds to formulate that group. And that was a recommendation from them. There was, and that was a pretty decent amount. And I'm not sure if you remember.
I didn't catch the 60 minutes, so I get that part of it. Love the theme, Let's Shine. What was the second place?
Oh, it was Immerse Yourself.
Oh, yeah, you definitely made the right call.
Well, what we liked about this is we actually presented 5 concepts originally, and it was a breadth. It was from, this is safe, and this is really pushing the brand. And so we ended up somewhere in the middle, because this one we really felt is starting to give us a personality that's different and a vibe. I mean, you can see it and you get a feeling. It's not just a pretty picture, so.
Great job. Thank you.
And by the way, this also is not just for leisure. We will be rolling this out and adapting it for meetings and conventions and all the segments throughout everything.
Yeah, I think the let's is really key. That's really that's a grab. I love the let's get together by getting away. I think that line was really good, and I think that's really important. And this is something I've heard for 10 years. Is it can't be something that could be anywhere else. The beach scene. You don't want it to be a generic beach scene that could be any beach. Can I ask you? And this is going to be like nitty gritty. Nobody else would care question, but. I noticed the font on the Let's Shine and everything is very heavy serif font, which is in this most have gone away from have gone to the sans serif. So can you tell me? I mean, if you know kind of the thinking about the font selection.
We had a lot of conversation about fonts, so it's kind of funny that you bring that up. No, I think it's part of the personality, and there are executions where we do use the sans serif. But we really wanted to have something that was very stylistic to help portray, who we are.
Very good.
That wasn't a little one. That actually was a lot of.
No, I know for you all that, but it's and I talked to folks on doing other kind of artwork and ad work that the serif and sans serif and that the font selection is, if it's going to be part of your brand, it's a huge part of your choice when you're making.
We did. We wanted it to be we wanted it to be a fun look and not just a standard font.
Very good. Can I ask one other question? Yes, sir.
Always amazed by the breadth of your expertise. So, fonts, I love it. What's the life of this? How long will we use this?
We're hoping 2 years, that we look at 2 years and then we can reevaluate. That would be the goal.
And we have enough to last a couple of years. We really captured an amazing volume. Of course, we'll have new stuff that comes into market that we'll want to capture.
A couple of years. Okay. Thank you.
All I remember is I think it was 2014, 15. I don't remember what year, but it was the first year the CVB had sponsored a float in the Pride Parade, and because we were one of the key sponsors, we were the last float. They thought that was a place of, highlight. But what it meant was the float sat in the hotel parking lot for about 3 hours while the rest of the parade started. and we heard for 3 hours on a loop the solar-powered theme song. And so I was waiting to hear that song or some version of it today. So I appreciate the musical selections as well.
That's awesome.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if I might, I mean, I just want to say thank you to Katie and her team, BVK and their team. I mean, what an effort to make this happen. I'm extremely proud of the work that they've pulled together. You know, the fact that this was based in the research, you know, that we tested it, we are listening to what the research is saying, and then getting creative. And I think that's awesome. And this has got the legs, you know, going forward. Mayor Welch, for you, you know, keep in mind that our last little bit lasted us 8 years. You know, if you know, again, 2 years of that being the pandemic, but you know, because we are testing our advertising, in fact, probably at the September meeting, we'll look at the effectiveness of our advertising over the last campaign. Is, you know, we can make adjustments based on what our customers are saying. So again, using that to help us with the messaging. And then I think the other part is, and you know, with the interaction we had with Creative Pinellas on the art side, you know, to really come up with some cool stuff. So again, great job to the team. I'm really proud of it, and look forward to seeing good results from all of that. The next update, I'm going to have Mackenzie come up to talk on the PR side, but you know, in addition to the advertising that we have out there, I think more importantly, it's the stories you can tell about your destination. And Mackenzie and working with NJF have been doing a heck of a job of getting that story out and pitching different ideas. So I wanted her to provide an update to you on some of the things that are going on, in addition to her traveling on behalf of us to help spread the good news. She's also out there hosting people in the community. So Mackenzie, look forward to hearing your update.
Thanks so much, and thank you everyone for having me here. When Steve asked me to join, I was really excited. I know you might hear from digital and advertising often, but communications and PR kind of is a little bit quieter. Our budgets are much smaller, but that doesn't mean our voice and our impact is not as great. So excited to kind of share with you some of the last couple of months, some successes. But I did want to first start with a very exciting award. Eddie from the digital team told me I could steal his thunder here. The digital team did just win an ESTO award. Steve and Katie were up in Grand Rapids last week. That is US Travel's conference, and this was an award for our destination website. I know within the last year you guys have seen the new website that we launched, so award winning. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Really excited about that.
And that was best destination website.
Yes.
So
Yes, best destination.
you've been a bridesmaid.
Mm-hmm. And we were also a finalist for a PR campaign, so one of 3 finalists for what we did during the Super Bowl. We weren't a winner, but we were still a finalist. There were only 3, so very happy about that. I will jump right in. Okay, great. So I just wanted to give a recap. Some of the things that I do, part of the communications team, is not just pitching and getting stories. It's also going out and creating relationships and developing those relationships. We're a small team. You're looking at it. So we have developed a mantra of working smarter and collaborating with our partners. So in the last few months, I've participated in Visit Florida's media mission in New York and Chicago, where I met with over 65 media. It was a multiple day mission, and there was a brunch with influencers, a media reception with traditional media, and desk side appointments. So really a successful way to capitalize on something that their team is already doing, and we're just able to jump aboard. Then I was in London and Brighton the next month with Visit Florida again, and we were able to meet with over 45 media there. Great opportunities again, different kind of experiences. There was a pub quiz, which is very iconic. Visit Florida does this whenever they go to London, and it is a huge turnout. So nice to be part of that. The next month, I was at IPW with the rest of the team, also taking over 20 media appointments. And these are all just so important for me to develop those relationships. They often lead to media visits to our market, which then yields coverage. I am heading to Canada next month, again with Visit Florida, and that is in collaboration. The timing was timed for Discover America Day Canada. So again, a lot of different elements, desk side, different media events. So just a really great way for us to work collaboratively with Visit Florida and also our other Florida DMOs. Let's see. Okay, so media visits. I wanted to give you a recap. Fiscal year, we have hosted over 45 journalists in the destination. And obviously, things have changed a little bit since COVID. We traditionally did a lot more group FAMs. So out of 45 media, over 35 of those are individual stays. That means one-on-one coordination on my behalf with our partners. Heather at Pier Tiki hears from me often. Clyde, you've helped me a bunch as well. So a lot of work is put in on the front end to host these journalists. These are just a few of the upcoming FAMs, though, because FAMs are coming back, which we're excited about, and just ways that my team and myself and the NJF team can collaborate with other departments. So the meetings team coordinated having the International Food and Wine Travel Writers Association conference in St. Pete. And so we're hosting a post-FAM with a few select media afterwards. We're able to highlight Tarpon Springs and Dunedin and the beaches, since they'll be in St. Pete during the conference. We're also working with Jeff Klaus at the airport. He's coordinated some collaboration with our team to focus on the new swoop flight from Toronto and Hamilton. So we'll be bringing in over about 10 media, and this is a really great opportunity for us. Oftentimes, airlines aren't giving us free tickets. This takes a big chunk of our budget out, and so we're able to bring a larger group of media from a very important market for us. And then Germany, our German agency, we talk about NJF, they're our US firm. We also have KAUS in Germany. We haven't hosted a group FAM with KAUS since before the pandemic, so we're excited to bring a group of German media back to the market at the end of October. And I just wanted to kind of highlight some of our recent media coverage highlights and big wins, but total earned media to date is $1.1 billion. Total ad value is $18.5 million, and we've had over 400 placements, and this is across the US, UK, and Germany. Some of the big wins lately are, and I just want to kind of group these together, some of our key selling points. We love talking about our dog-friendly destination, and it constantly makes lists. These are two pieces where Fort DeSoto Park was included, but don't worry, Honeymoon Island's dog park is often included in these roundups as well. Beaches, I know Carmen, and again, a lot of what we're doing is just amplifying what the brand messaging is. Beaches are something we can do with our eyes closed, right? We're just consistently going to get put on these roundups, but making sure that we still are top of mind. Again, Southern Living, Condé Nast Traveler, these are big hits. So again, just bringing that clout and awareness. These two pieces I really want to touch on because it is a labor of love, and I think this just really goes back to our messaging of showcasing the destination beyond the beaches and highlighting the art scene, as well as showcasing the area as a millennial kind of haven. And this really translates into what the team at BVK and Katie are doing with their new campaign as well. And then these are some two pieces that I think are great. Thrillist, obviously we're happy to be part of a roundup with them, but this Southern Living piece we could not be more excited about. It was highlighting Tarpon Springs, and it really showcased the full breadth of what we like to talk about there. The history, the sponging industry, and Dodecanese is obviously a favorite, but this was a piece during a time when maybe traveling to Greece wasn't as affordable, so they were suggesting this for families that might not be able to make the trip, which we love. And then this is a piece that we didn't have an image in this piece, but this was on nationalgeographic.com and came out during June, Pride Month, during St. Pete's 20th anniversary. So this was incredibly amazing to be included in this roundup about LGBTQ-friendly coastal destinations. And obviously, Florida might not be one that people have on top of mind. So to have this included and to have all of these different partners mentioned and not your traditional ones. We've got Let It Be Ice Cream in Gulfport, Tombolo Books in St. Pete. So really, really unique businesses with a connection to that community. And it would be, I couldn't finish my deck without talking about influencers. Obviously, we spend a good amount of time on traditional media, But I wanted to call out a recent study that Forbes did about influencers. And we're working more and more with influencers. And this study talked about, showed that in the past year, 72% of those surveyed say that they trust their trust in influencers increased. 72%. And 66% say their purchase decision has been driven by influencers, and 64% say it helps them discover new brands. So obviously, having influencers part of what we do, part of what BVK does, is crucial. And what these three represent are three important things that we did. So the top one, the blonde girl, she came with the Rooster UK team a few years ago pre-pandemic and actually produced a YouTube video on her own, was not part of the deliverables. We were, in our research and trying to grow our YouTube channel, Eddie and I recognized that her video was just receiving so many views. So we invited her back to the destination and asked her to create a video for VSPC's owned channels. So this is on our website. We've created a vlogger takeover channel on the website. So for pieces like Alex is in the top, and then the bottom one, the St. Pete travel vlog, that was part of a Visit Florida individual stay that was presented to us. The vlog, the video was not part of her deliverables, but we talked internally and asked, is there a possibility to add this on? And she was able to do that for us. And again, just expanded the reach and expanded those deliverables that we were originally offered. And then the top right, the Nomadic Boys, that was a strategic partnership that we worked on with the Rooster PR team to bring in an LGBTQ blogger during St. Pete's 20th anniversary Pride. Traditionally, we don't host media during Pride because of, obviously, the hotels are booked. We want to showcase the destination as an LGBTQ-friendly area year-round, but with it being the 20th anniversary, we did that, and this is just one of the many deliverables they produced, so we're really happy about the results there. I think that might end it for me. I tried to keep it quick. I know you had a lot of amazing presentations, but I'm just happy to be up here today, and thank you so much for all of those that hear from me and work with me. It really does make an impact, and this is just a sliver of the coverage that we've received. Are there any questions?
Mayor?
I know I don't have to tell you this, but I just hope when you get the swoop fam that you bring people to Dunedin
That is
from
part of the
Toronto.
plan. That is part of the plan.
Thank you.
Mayor?
When you go to these meetings for New York, Chicago, or Canada and Great Britain, can you explain a little bit more what the interaction is? How are we not lost? Sure, you're very assertive, but can you describe what it's like to be at those meetings, and how do we get shelf space?
Absolutely. So there is a selection. They don't typically bring more than 5 DMOs, so we do have to submit to be part of these missions, and sometimes they don't choose VSPC, maybe because we've participated in a lot, or it has to really relate to some of like our recent flight lift. So UK made sense because our nonstop flight from Tampa, so that's obviously a key differentiator for us. But it depends on, during the missions, there are multiple different types of meetings. We have one-on-one sit-down meetings where we all have an opportunity to speak about the destination. And to be honest, I just read the room. I make sure that if one person is talking about one thing, I make sure what VSPC has different can really shine. And of course, our beaches are always part of that. We always kind of tease each other because everybody in Florida wants to claim that they've got the best beaches, but obviously we do. But those desk sides are one-on-ones, and then during kind of more media receptions, that's when we have our own booth and media can come up to us and again have one-on-one conversations. But we do cut through the clutter, and then oftentimes what happens is we do follow up and provide those media with specifics if maybe the conversation wasn't able to get to a point, but we like them and we did some vetting and want to host them. That's when that yields a visit and then again, coverage. Did that answer your question?
We could go a lot further, but it helped, yes.
Okay.
Mayor Welch?
Thank you. Great job. You had one conference on there I didn't recognize. London, it was an I something, 3 letters.
IPW, that was actually in Orlando. Sorry, I might not have specified.
No,
but
that wasn't it. It was definitely London, and it's not the one we went to.
No, I haven't been to a conference in London, so that wasn't on.
back
Sure,
up?
sure.
It could be my 58-year-old eyes. Go back one more. IPW, I'm sorry.
That was in Orlando this year. Sorry, I
Okay.
did not put the location on that one.
You got the Visit Florida UK right above
Yes,
it.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I did. So what is
Mayor?
IPW?
Mayor, for 30 years, that was called Powwow.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you visited and all, and now it's
Gotcha.
been changed to
Okay.
IPW.
What does IPW stand for?
International Powwow, but they go by the letters.
Thanks, guys.
And it's about 5,000 in attendance, hosted by some city for international business.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
Anything further? Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thanks so much.
If I might, going back to Mackenzie's presentation, I think one of the things, and Mayor Hibbard, this I think goes a little bit about that messaging, is, she's always looking for ideas on the story side. And then what we'll do is see how can we incorporate that and massage it into the destination. So as members of this body, or if other people are listening, if there are ideas out there, let us know. Because again, sometimes she might be pitching one item, or NJF might be pitching one item, and find out there's a totally other story angle that's out there. And that we might have a little nugget. I know that Mackenzie's going through, and we were meeting with some folks and we're talking about the Marine Science Center, and and what that has done. That's more of a business opportunity. What we're trying to do is weave a tourism element to it. So those are the things we're going to look for in the community as a whole. But if you've got those ideas, let us know, because again, the little seed might grow into something bigger. But the PR side of it is critically important to us, and then that's our chance to tell the story. And I know Mackenzie always talks about the influencers, and so there's the young and there's the old, and because I'm still I'm looking for the magazine that goes through and has the story, and and they're telling me about the influencers that like Trash Colin that has 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and but those are all important. So again, I'm really proud of the work that they go through and do. So. All right, see if I can get my presentation pulled up. All right, hit the next slide for me, please. All right, we'll go through under destination metrics. First on the list is our tourist development tax collections, and this is for the month of June. We were at 8.4 million compared to 8.2 million in 2021, which was roughly a 2%, almost a 3% increase. Fiscal year 22 to date, we're at 74.7 million compared to 54.7 million for fiscal year 21. So on that, that is made up. Again, I think what I've tried to do is explain why you would see such the bigger differences. And I think one of the things we're starting to see is the double-digit increases are slowly coming down. So again, if I go back and I look at earlier in the year, let's say in March, you can see where our difference was. In fact, that was 33% increase. So now we're starting to get into what I'll call normal, whatever form of normal is. For us, if we go to the next slide, when you look at what makes up the tourist development tax collection, it's a mix of between occupancy and average daily rate. For us, occupancy-wise, you can see for June, we are at 72% compared to 78% last year and 80% in 2019. I'm still leaving 2020 off the books. Let's just forget all that. I still need to show 2019 because, 2021 is somewhat of an anomaly only because we were one of the few places that were open. You couldn't travel internationally. We were wide open, so we had a lot of visitation. So I'm using 19 still as some of that benchmark of where we were at. So again, looking at the 2019 metric at 80%. Under ADR for 2022, we're at 175. In 21, it was 168, but it was 189 in 2019. When it goes back and looks at beach and inland, I only have the information for 22 and 21. I don't have it for 19 to go through and make that comparison. But again, you can see the difference between inland and beach. And let me remind everybody there, when I say beach, it's everything west of the intercoastal. If it's east of the intercoastal, then that would be inland. And then you can see what the ADR changes there. So basically, and I'll let our hotel industry folks here talk about this, but basically you're seeing the lowering of the occupancy, but rate is still up. It's not at the rates that we saw last year, but they are still up. And I think in the best of all worlds, as in running an operation, you'd want maybe the lower occupancy as long as you're still able to go through and meet the rate. Next slide. This really just, again, looks on a monthly basis through this calendar year. It looks at 2019, 2021, and 2022. This, again, goes to occupancy. And then next slide, you can see the difference there with ADR being up above. So now we go to the next slide. On this one, this comes in from vacation rentals. On this one, this is year to date, seeing an average daily rate of 224 compared to 188. Occupancy at 80 compared to 74, and then adjusted RevPAR, and then average total stay of value. There, on this note, if it's not the September meeting, the October meeting, is I'm going to have some folks from Key Data make a presentation to the group as a whole. Part of it is, and I tried to get it into a report format that I could show up here, but it would show not only the vacation rental side, but also the Airbnb VRBO side, because that element was, still pretty shocking when you look at the amount of units that are out there. I did a quick note for somebody here recently. And you're looking at on the VRBO Airbnb, roughly about 19,000 units across the county, of which on the vacation rental that's run by management companies, you're looking at probably close to 8,000. So there's a big difference there. Now there's some crossover with that, but at least that shows the volume other than hotels, because again, you got to take that into consideration. Next slide. One of the things that I did want to show, because I had a question come up regarding a forecast for visitation and where do we think we're going to be. And so the blue represents the actual visitation by month for 2019. The orange represents 2021 actual, and then the black line represents 2022. And I need to caveat this, the first 3 months, January, February, and March are actual, and then April through December are forecasted. If the forecast holds true, and after Labor Day, I'll get second quarter, so that'll tell me that April, May, June, so the last half of spring travel, where we're at halfway through the year. But if it all holds true right now, we would end the calendar year equal with 2019 in terms of number of visitors. And that would be roughly at that 15.2 million. Compared to 2021, where there were more ground made up in the last quarter of the year, we made it up this year in the first quarter of the year. So again, same number of visitors, but again, we're starting to go through and see spend being up. So if you go to the next slide, this looks at our visitor profile for the month of June, and I highlighted or bolded the items where there was a big change. So the first thing is the daily spend. So looking June last year to June this year, you can see the big change in spend. I'm not an economist, but I'm going to say that you're spending more money because prices went up. And so that certainly affects your trip. The travel party size was relatively the same. The second thing that was bolded was and this is the third month in a row, but the decision to arrival in the number of days has continued to be up over last year. So that window of that decision is, we're at 2 months versus a month and a half. It may not seem like a lot, but it really is. But that's 3 months in a row now. So I first thought it was an anomaly, but we, again, like I said, 3 months in a row.
Is that good or bad?
I don't think it matters. It's more from a planning standpoint, because if, I need to be getting a message in front of somebody, if I'm getting it to them 3 months out, that's good. If I'm getting it to them 30 days out, I might be missing that decision time period.
Steve, I can offer to that. It is good because, excuse me, it allows us better rate management. So you're going to see a higher average rate the longer that booking window is. We know how to adjust better versus scrambling.
Thank you, Clyde. And then the mean number of days is down. Again, I'm going to attribute this to the fact from a cost standpoint. If you're having to pay more cost for your vacation, you may be spending less time. It's not dramatically different, but it's at least a big enough difference there. But the average income, average age, percent that stayed overnight, all relatively the same. Looking ahead, one of the things that I just wanted to chat on was business as whole. When we look at where we are today, and again, I might be repeating myself, but some of this might be new. When we look at comparing business right now, some things to consider. One is fully open, everybody. So I mean, at this point in time, international travel, I have a choice. I can travel internationally anywhere I want to go. I can get on a cruise ship, which I could not last year. I could go to other destinations. The choices are more. So again, more importantly, that we have the messaging out at the right time, and that to the right audiences and to the right markets. Again, I've already brought up the fact that we're seeing lower occupancy, but the rate is holding or is above. We talked about the visitor forecast. On the international side, we're starting to slowly see that come back. And I think one of the clear-cut indicators of that was when the U.S. eliminated the requirement for testing to come into the United States. That gave some peacefulness to our international travelers, that they're not having to get a test and then all of a sudden find out they can't go because someone in their travel party had COVID, and therefore now that's canceling, and now do I lose my money? What happens? So that now has been taken off the plate. In talking with both of our international offices, what we're going through and hearing is the typical travel pattern. It's not the rush that we saw from the U.S. traveler who said, oh my gosh, I can now travel, I'm going right away. The international traveler, there was some of that, but a lot of it is, okay, what's my normal travel pattern? Is it that fall break? Is it going to be the Christmas holiday? Is it going to be the spring break? Whatever the traditional holiday time periods are. Also on the international side, I think the fact that, and again, we had the announcement of new nonstop service to London Heathrow on Virgin Atlantic is phenomenal. What's the first month, there'll be 4 days a week, so it'll start in November. By the end of November, it'll go to daily service. So that's huge. And what they enjoy about this market, not only is it leisure traffic coming this way and business, but it is also leisure and business going that way. So it really serves a dual purpose. And then finally, on the meetings and conferences side, is really starting to see a return there. So we're starting to see more leads coming out. We're seeing planners going through and saying, hey, I'm looking at specific dates. Some of it still is short term, but I've seen a couple of things come across my desk from staff where they're going through and saying 24 and 25, which music to my ears, because in our world of building business, we want that base of group business. We want it to be out there to start filling rooms, so then we can go after other markets. If it's not there, then it means we've got to do more digging of rooms to Clyde, well, any of the hoteliers' points, that now you're scrambling to get that leisure traveler at the last minute versus knowing you've already got some business on the books. So I did want to go through and just talk about business a little bit. On Virgin, We've had a great conversation with them and with the airport and Visit Tampa Bay. They've presented some marketing programs that we're participating in with them to get the message out in London and Manchester and those areas about the service. So we're excited what's happening with that. I also wanted to go through just as an update for you regarding staffing with VSPC. So as of today, right now we've got out of 12 open positions that we had open, we have one has been filled, one currently has an offer in, and we should have a note here within the next week, 2 weeks, if that's been accepted. We've got 3 in some process of being advertised and getting responses back. I've got 3 positions that were previously open, but I will go through next month when I go through and give an update on strategic plan of what we would do with that. And then I've got 4 open where they're either recent or I've got to come up with the job description. So I wanted to give you an update where we were there. But I think as you heard from, not only advertising, but also communications, and both, with our agency partner with BVK, we're moving full steam ahead with everything that we're going through and doing. So, questions for the group as a whole?
Question. Steve, can we monitor Europe a little bit more on how it's going in the next short and longer term? Maybe come up with looking at that. I'm seeing in some report, I think we just saw in the last couple of days, it showed 8%. And so that market in the fall is usually bigger. So can we start looking a little bit on how we monitor that on it? And we didn't hear anything out of Canada. You didn't mention, and so what's happening there? And then the third one that we're seeing going, as you mentioned, is the meeting side. I can tell you in the October, November era time, and I've stayed with taking meetings all the way through, we're like 50% or more meetings for those 2 months. That's the old traditional. As the seasonal drops off for now till February, the meetings are back on. So that's what we're seeing. So I think maybe we need to be monitoring that if we can for seasonality too on filling in. The other thing to comment on your Virgin that's great is the announcement that it's a wide body. And that's a big plus in those that are buying tickets and everything too. Thank you.
Steve, I had some questions about the monthly snapshot, which we don't go through, but there's some real unusual numbers in the July report, like Tarpon Springs up 857%. Do we know where some of these come from? They seem like outliers. And it's not a big number from a numeric standpoint, but it's just, St. Pete was up 73%, for instance. I'm just curious what those deltas are. Mayor, was there something unusual going on in the?
Just new properties have been opening in St. Pete that haven't been existing, but that, I don't know about an event or
I didn't catch the first part of his question.
Well, but then it went down the next month.
Fair enough.
If I could add, Treasure Island for May is not correct, I don't believe.
Okay. Well, it says the July snapshot, but it says May 1st to May 31st. Okay. Right. So I'm curious about.
So he's looking at the
deltas
tourist
like
development
that
tax collection
by city.
by city, May 1st to May 31st, and then it goes from the change from the year prior, and there's some dramatic numbers in there.
Let me look into that and see what happened. Again, it could be, and I'm just guessing, And Mike, in terms of the tournament, would it, if it took place 1 month, 1 year, and a different month another year, then that would have a dramatic impact on the collections for that specific area.
Okay.
So let me go back and look at that and see if there was something specific. It also could be, in the case of, like in St. Pete, did you have inventory come out of the market so you weren't collecting, which would be a negative, or it increased rate, which could have been more of a positive? But let me go back and look at that.
Also, I would like to have this page with a cumulative number.
Okay.
Cumulative number for the entire year.
Okay.
I'd like to know that stat.
All right.
Mayor Bujalski? Microphone, please.
With the drops in the last 2 months of collection, I'm asking a question I think I already know the answer, but I have to ask it. I'm assuming you're monitoring where we projected next year?
If I might, can I have Jim answer, because he actually came back with.
Are you talking about revenue collection?
Yeah.
We did increase the FY '22 estimate, almost $5 million from what was presented
Last year.
back in April when we did the budget. We're well above budget.
Right.
But when we did the FY '23 budget, we estimated a little over $86 million collected in FY '22. But based on the information we have through June, I believe, I increased that to 91 million, which is just under $5 million. And that increase rolled to next year as well. So the FY '23 increased about just under $5 million. So there would be
So there is are you calling that, well, that's not a significant increase.
5.3%. I mean,
But it's not showing what we just did in the year before, which is a much bigger percentage.
Well, I'm not sure what those are month-to-month changes by city.
Well, I'm not looking at by city, I'm just
yeah.
looking at for the total month.
I mean, if you're looking just month-to-month, but
No.
spread out over the year,
Right.
it's a 5.3% increase, which at the numbers we're talking about, we're adding, I believe, $8 million or so to reserves. The full $9 million isn't going into reserves because part of that needs to go to the beach renourishment
Right.
portion. So,
Well, I guess the reason I'm asking is, and I'm just sharing information. What I'm hearing from my more tourist-driven businesses, like in our downtown area, and even everywhere else, but what they feel like is we're going back to the normal cycle of tourism, where July, August, early September is sort of like dead. They're not feeling what they felt this time last year, and they're not feeling what they felt, earlier in the year. And so their business is dropping off. And in their mind, of course, it's killing them because they were used to these big increases and could hardly have enough staff to support what they were having. But they're just, as you know, and maybe not as much on the beach, but like in our town, July, August, even almost all of September is a dead time. It's not a time that you see a lot of increases. So we don't know if that's what's going to happen, if we're just going more back to that normal travel pattern or not. So I just bring it up to share that information with you. I don't know how it's going to affect our projections for next year at all, but I do think there's something there, and I do think we should maybe consider doing some special promotions or whatever you all as experts think is best. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I worry about what the fall is going to look like, especially with the increased prices, the increased airline thing. A lot of people don't want to get on an airplane because they're not sure they're going to get there, or if it's going to take them 2 days to get there and how much it's going to cost them. I just worry about that. Even though I did see record-breaking, what is it, June for PIE? June, July, I don't know what it was, but it was record-breaking month. But our collections aren't reflecting that. You know what I'm saying? So that's that worries me when it's not consistent. That's it.
All right, Mr. Prather?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, in the current budget, we're about 87, almost 90% of the way through the fiscal year. And I noticed down in promotion, we've spent a little less than half the budget, 17 million almost, out of the 36. We've still got almost 20 million left, but I think, like Mayor said, I think I know the answer to my question. Is that just you haven't been billed for a lot of these contracts yet? Or do you anticipate spending all, arguably almost $37 million at the end of this fiscal year on promotion and direct programming expenses?
Thank you, Mr. Prather. So on that, and I'll have Terry correct me if I'm wrong, but the numbers that are there is what's actually been processed, and then what we have going to be spending is not included in that. But I can tell you in talking with BVK and Katie and Miles and Eddie, from that, we will be expending those budgets. So, I mean, and again, that would not be reflected because it hasn't been processed through yet.
So this last month, we'll finish out and we will ultimately have spent all 37 million.
We'll be very close to it, yes.
Yeah, to the penny. Thank you very much.
Mr. Williams?
A couple points. Mayor, to your observation and comments, I think it's spot on. We are seeing a return to the normal Florida travel patterns. 20 and 21 obviously are anomalies, and I think we need to be prepared, and we need to be planning along our normal travel patterns that we've seen, for decades here. We're not going to have that enormous
Surge.
pop like we saw in 21. We too are seeing the conference business begin to come back for the fall season, which is very much welcome. Over 50% of our business from a revenue standpoint comes from conferences. But I want to go back to your comments on staffing. And Steve, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed on that. I know there was some concern that we had a number of positions open and some key positions. My question is, do you feel like you have are we competitive from a compensation standpoint to attract best-in-class talent for these open roles, especially the key sales, marketing roles that you have open?
I think, well, let me just put it this way. I mean, there was one individual that I talked to who they're in another destination that would love to come and be a part of what we do here, makes more than me. So yeah, I'd gladly pay it if I was able to go through and do that, but we know that that's not realistic. So from that standpoint, I think there will be some issues in trying to get those folks. But in the same sense, even when I made a decision to come here, it was you had a greater opportunity to do something, and you may sacrifice on the other side. We're again, we'll work with the appropriate members of the county staff to say, hey, if we're going to get these types of positions, this is maybe the pay range we need to look at, and see where we can take it from there. There may be people willing to come that want to work for us that be perfectly fine with the pay scale as well.
Do we use headhunters or executive search firms to help us with some of these key positions?
We have the ability to do so, yes.
Are we doing so?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Vacation rental statistics, and I note that we've changed the format. Previously, we were getting reports, and then we have new graphs and new charts, and these old eyes are having trouble with those. Thank you.
you said it. I looked at that and it just was not obvious.
I had to blow it up on the computer screen, but I can't read it when it's on a printout for sure. So you mentioned some interesting statistics about the 19,000, which would be kind of like the OTA, the Airbnb and so forth. And then the 9,000 for the vacation rentals. This kind of goes back to ongoing conversations that we're having. How are they getting the numbers? Who is Key Data dealing with? What PMS systems are they linked to that they're drawing from? And in the previous reports, I know they were somehow scraping Airbnb and VRBO. Is that a part of the numbers that we're seeing, or is that what you're saying that they're going to try to do? I'm not sure.
All right, a couple of things, if I might. One, I agree with you on the eyes, because even when I get the report, I'm like, I'm having trouble. So that's part of the conversation we're having with them to say, how do I get something that's for the 55-year-old eyes, not the young eyes.
Sir, when you get to a certain age, you get new eyes.
It start there. So there. Second, on terms of the VRBO and the Airbnb, I believe they scrape that information. Anything that's vacation rental companies or management companies, then they can, and I can go back if, I can send you exactly what PMS system each of them are using. Some of them are the same. Most of the time, they're all completely different. And who can they tie in with and who can they not tie in with? And that was part of the reason I want to have them make a presentation so that it explains exactly how they do it, through what system, and then on the other side of that is their ability to recruit more to be a part of it. And again, some of it's a diminishing return. You've got some management companies that may only manage five properties.
But then they're not using the major PMS systems.
Exactly, they're on
small,
yeah.
So we need to be looking at the larger ones. And so for the benefit for those of you, this is kind of in the weeds, but if Key Data can access Streamline and Track and all of these major PMS systems, property management systems, but do you have to be a member? Is it like the STAR report where you're driven by only if you're paying to be a player, you're paying to play, then they can scrape that material or they can link that material from that particular PMS system, and then they extrapolate that into what we're looking for. So my point has been all along, if that's the case and you have to pay to play, then we need to know that, and nobody's reaching out that I'm aware of. Because I'm sitting here with close to 500 units and they're not talking to me. So, and Clyde, you've got, I don't know what PMS system you're using, but you've got a component of condo hotel, and you do too, Mike. So, that's the other side of it. It's not going to be in the STAR report, but yeah. Where are we with that?
Yeah,
so it all gets extrapolated under STAR as a hotel, even though they're condo hotel owned. Okay, gotcha. Okay. And Mike, you're probably the same as well. So yeah. I'm the standalone vacation management company, but if there's 8,000 units out there that are falling under that category, how are we getting that information? Because it's not.
Well, the 8,000, so the 8,000 is the total if I estimate everything correctly. And again, I've got a list that says, here's Here's who we are able to get the information from. Here's who we don't have that we would need to get. And that is everybody from you down to, I'm going to make up the company, Hayes's Condo that has 2 units. So there's a diminishing return at the lower end, but you want to get the other ones that are there. And again, it'd be a % of the sample.
I mean, the I-trips and the V-trips and there's a myriad of other ones that maybe don't have that same physical presence that I do, or Provident Management, who has, properties within the area, and those have the larger numbers. So I think it's important because, we've been actually talking about it for quite some time, and I'm still not comfortable that we're getting the information that we need to tie it together for what Pinellas County is doing in those yeah, it's in the big number because we're obviously collecting the tax like everyone else, but how does that performance fit in? Thank you.
I just want to jump on her comments.
All right.
I agree. I have equally been very frustrated over the last few years. Of course, you have to let that go because of COVID, and there are certain things you just can't get done. You're just trying to keep your head afloat. So I understand that. But even pre-COVID, that we don't have the same accuracy with, I'll call them vacation rentals in general, whatever they are, Airbnb, VRBO, I don't care what thing it is, but we don't have the same accuracy with that as we do with our hotels. And I know some of that comes from, I believe, if I'm not incorrect, I remember hearing that it's sort of the negotiation deal that the county did with folks like a VRBO and Airbnb, who they did, by collecting the money, they didn't have to give where their location was, or something to that effect. I don't remember all the details, but that's what I seem to remember. And it's just killing us. And then we had to find these companies who can do a scrape of the internet to tell us what's what. And a lot of those companies or those units are on multiple websites. And I mean,
Are they getting counted multiple?
I have no idea. I mean, we use a company that does the same thing for code enforcement. So I know they exist. I've seen it. I know what they look at. And so the programs are becoming pretty advanced. It's just very frustrating that we are in, our main goal is to get room nights. I'll just call them room nights, not hotel room nights, but room nights. And we have a whole sector. I mean, let's say it's a total of 25 units with that cross, that's a lot of darn units that we can't say we're totally accurate on. We can say we're close. Listen, I work with close all the time. We all do. But that's just, at some point, we have to get better than that. And maybe Charlie needs to go after that.
Well, I'm, as Doreen said, I got lost in the weeds there in your conversation. So maybe we could bring it back for a little bit more in-depth conversation. We could get a little education for those of us that are not as familiar with those systems, and have a further discussion on it. If that would be all right with everyone. All right. Mr. Hayes, did you have anything else?
The last thing is, and hopefully to end on in a celebratory note, we have 2 individuals here that have been around the sun another year. One of them actually happens to fall on today, and another one happened earlier this week, but Mayor Welch and to Russ Kimball, happy birthday to both of you.
Happy birthday.
And for happy birthday. We won't sing. We debated on the candles, but we thought we don't want to set off the fire alarms. But but you guys, Liz did send a note out asking for your birthday date, not year, date, because when the appropriate times comes, we'd love to celebrate you as well at these meetings too. So thank you. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. I won't take it personal that we started this program the month right after my birthday at all. Mayor Welch.
Well, congratulations, Russ. I should have known you were a Leo. I never knew that. I wanted to ask, and I was pulling up my RFP, Frank, when you asked the question. Because it occurred to me that we are wrapping up an RFP for the historic gas plant site, home of Tropicana Field. And I would like to, within the Sunshine Counselor, be able to get some feedback from the TDC, and maybe it could go to Steve, and then Steve, you and I could talk without identifying who gave you the, but I'd like to get your opinion on convention center space. We've talked about this over the years. We've said a medium-sized center made sense at one time. What's in the draft RFP now is not a convention center. It's 50,000 to 100,000 square feet or more of conference space. And so I'd just like to get some feedback for the TDC before we wrap this up at the end of this month, just to know what the thoughts are on the TDC in terms of that kind of conference space at the site. Would that work, Counselor?
You can talk to Steve.
Okay. So I'd like to get that input before we send this out.
So if you'd share your comments and thoughts and input with Steve, and then Steve will compile it and share it with the mayor.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I would suggest that be done individually to Steve, please.
Yes. Mayor?
I was just gonna say, Ken, look where we were just at. Did you notice that, the Diplomat, where we went for the Florida League of Cities thing?
I did.
I'm sure you all know of it, but I forget the place itself, but I was looking at it because of all our conversations from conference space. And do we want a convention center, don't we? But the sheer number of rooms they had, the location, then the entire conference space, and you weren't, I don't think you were there for the one dinner, but I went to that, which was in a totally different area I hadn't even seen, didn't even know it was there, which was interesting. And the parking garage across the street, I thought, my God, even though it looks big, it really isn't. That could have been in a very compact space, like, you know, in your downtown somewhere or on Clearwater Beach. I mean, the beach location was pretty spectacular, but I thought that is what Pinellas County needs.
And I have no idea how many square feet that might be.
I
but
have
I'll
no
look it up,
idea,
'cause
but
that's a good
that
reference.
place, I just thought that was a really, it's not like what Tampa has.
No.
It has the place to stay, you don't have to have a car if you don't want it, but it has a garage if you do.
Yeah, they've actually got retail development on the other side of the highway where the garage is. And then
Right.
you've got the hotel, which has some retail, plus their conference space.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was the perfect thing for Pinellas County.
Mayor Herbert with a location selection.
Mayor, would you be coming to the TDC for additional money to make a convention center happen? Or is it a question of support for the concept of a convention center?
First, the concept, because, or conference space. I mean, going back through the categories, a convention center is one of the categories that's funded, but we're not there yet. I'm just trying to see, should it remain in the RFP as it is, just on the general concept.
I'll be glad to give Steve any answers he asks me.
All right. I think I know where you are, Russ.
Yes,
So,
you gotta have a lot of diplomats been there for 50 years. And they got other hotels next door and everything else, and they got a beach. The problem is, you don't have that land available and the centralized hotels in order to take care of big scale. Tampa learned that. They built hotels all around it to make sure they had enough for the square footage they got. But that's the problem with Pinellas County.
okay. Well, I'd love to get that summary. Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you very much for a good meeting. We are
Thank
adjourned.
y'all.